Hello, everyone, and welcome to the place where shadows whisper and nightmares softly breathe. So close your eyes, take a slow breath. I know you use this video to fall asleep, so before that, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, where you from and what time are you watching? Let's get comfortable and relax. I haven't spoken to anyone in years. Not really. I don't know if this is a confession, a warning, or just the ramblings of a man who's lost everything, including his grip on reality. But if I don't tell someone, I think whatever's still left of me might disappear entirely. It started in the winter of 2009. I was living in a crappy one-bedroom apartment just outside of Duluth, Minnesota. Snow piled higher than the windows, and the wind howled like something alive. I worked night shifts at a gas station off the interstate. It wasn't glamorous, but it was quiet. Too quiet. I started hearing things that winter. Not voices, not at first. Just sounds. Scraping, clicking, whisper thin tapping on the windows when the wind wasn't blowing. Always between 2:13 and 2:17 a.m. Never earlier. Never later. I told myself it was just the cold. Ice expanding and cracking. My mind playing tricks on me from lack of sleep. Then the footprints started. They weren't human. Not quite. They looked like bare feet, but stretched out. Longer. With too many toes, like the bones inside had rearranged themselves into something that wanted to be human but hadn't quite figured it out. I'd find them in the snow outside my apartment, leading up to the windows. Sometimes the door. No one else seemed to notice. My landlord said it was probably kids messing around, but I knew better. The prints were too clean, too deliberate, and always only one set. Like it only needed one pair of feet to do what it did. One night, I stayed up, sat in my recliner facing the window, shotgun in my lap. The clock ticked to 2:13, and then I heard it. Tap. 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 On the glass behind me. I spun around so fast I nearly fell over. Nothing was there. Just the window, covered in frost. But on the glass, 5 long, greasy smears. Fingerprints. Pressed from the outside. That was the first time I saw it. It wasn't clear. Just a shadow. A smear of darkness beyond the snow, taller than any man I've seen. It had no face, just space where a face should be. Like the night itself had pooled into the shape of a person and forgotten the details. I blinked and it was gone. But the print stayed. I called in sick for a week after that. Things got worse. I started seeing the shadow in places it shouldn't be. Reflections, mostly. My bathroom mirror. A puddle near the bus stop. Once, in the metal spout of the coffee machine at work. Just a face that wasn't there. No eyes. No mouth. But I knew it was watching. Then came the dreams. Always the same. I'm standing in the woods. Snow falling. I can hear something breathing behind me, ragged and wet, like a dying animal. But I can't turn around. My body won't move. My feet are frozen into the ground. And just before I wake up, something grabs my shoulder. It wasn't long before I stopped dreaming altogether. One morning, I woke up and my front door was open. Just open. Snow blown halfway into the apartment. No footprints, no tracks. But on my kitchen table was a tooth, not mine. I tried to move out. Packed my bags, broke my lease, everything. But every time I tried to leave the city, something happened. Flat tires. Accidents. Once, I swerved to avoid hitting someone in the road, but when I looked back, there was no one there. Just a smear of blood on the windshield, and that same face reflected in the glass. I was trapped. And then I stopped fighting it. I don't know why. Maybe because part of me wanted to understand. Maybe because I was too tired to care. But I stopped running. I let it in. It wasn't dramatic. No lightning, no roaring wind. I just opened my door one night at 2:13 a.m., and let the cold rush over me. It stepped inside. It looked like me. Not like a doppelganger. Not exactly. More like a wax figure of me left out in the sun. Melting. Twisted. Hollow. But it smiled. And I smiled back. Since then, I've changed. I don't eat. I don't sleep. I don't age. Sometimes I catch glimpses of myself in mirrors, and for a moment, I'm not sure which version I am. The original or the copy. Sometimes I wonder if I ever really made it through that winter. Maybe I froze to death in my chair with the shotgun across my lap, and this is just what comes next. But then I feel it inside me, moving, like something waiting, growing, biding its time, waiting for you to hear this story. To believe it, because once you believe, it starts to notice you too. Can you hear it? The tapping? Look behind you. Don't turn the lights off tonight. Please, don't. I haven't slept properly in over a year. I don't mean insomnia, or stress, or bad dreams. I mean literally can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes for more than a few minutes, something happens. Something awful. It started when I moved into a cheap studio apartment downtown. One of those concrete shoeboxes in a building that was probably nice back in the 70s. I was broke, fresh out of a breakup, and didn't care if the place had roaches or bloodstains, as long as it was mine. First night there, I noticed it, the vent in the ceiling, right above the bed. Not a big deal, I thought. Every place has air vents. But this one was weird. It wasn't connected to anything. I found that out when I took a flashlight, stood on a chair, and peered inside. No ductwork, no pipes, just a hole, a black, metal-lined tunnel that went straight up into darkness. I shrugged it off. Old building, maybe something was sealed off. Whatever, but then the scratching started. Soft at first, like fingernails on drywall. Then louder, more frantic, always around 3 a.m. I'd wake up with my sheets soaked in sweat, heart pounding, staring at that vent as the scratching moved closer. One night, I swear to God, I heard a voice, not a full sentence, just a whisper, like someone testing the air. I laid there for hours, too scared to move. It never said anything clear, just breath and sound, and that awful scratching, like someone inside the walls. I called maintenance. The guy came by during the day, looked up at the vent, knocked on it, then gave me this look, like he was trying hard not to say something. Old building, he muttered. Sometimes things get stuck up there. Rats, birds, you know. But I saw his eyes. He knew something. That night, I fell asleep with a baseball bat in my hand, just in case. And somewhere between 3 o'clock and 3:30, I heard it again. But this time, it was closer. The voice was clearer. Raspy. Hungry. It said my name, not whispered, not shouted, just spoken, like an old friend trying it out again after a long time apart. I sat straight up, bat in hand, staring at the vent, and then something moved. Something shifted inside the dark of the vent. I could see the shadow of it, long, thin fingers curling around the edge. Pale skin, too smooth, stretched too tight. It was trying to come through. I screamed. When I turned the lights on, it was gone. But the vent cover? It was bent. Not a lot. Just enough to show that something had pushed. That's when I started recording every night. Left my phone pointed at the vent while I slept. I didn't look at the footage for a while. I didn't want to. But one morning, curiosity got the better of me. The video started normal. Me sleeping. No movement. Then around 3:08 a.m., something changed. The image shimmered just a little, like a ripple in the air. And then, hands point, two long arms slid out of the vent, completely silent. Not falling, not crawling, just gliding. They hovered over my sleeping body like they were measuring me, like they were trying to remember something about me. Then, slowly, They pulled back inside. I watched that footage over and over again. Then I deleted it. Burned my phone in a trash can behind a diner 2 towns over. I tried to leave. Packed a bag, got in my car, and just drove. No plan, no destination. But after 6 hours of highway and coffee and terror, I stopped at a roadside motel. Guess what I saw? The room was different. The walls were pale blue. There were no roaches, no stains, but in the ceiling, the vent was there. Same shape, same size, same angle, directly over the bed. That was when I knew, it's not the apartment, it's me, I don't know what it is, or why it's following me. But it comes through that vent, that hole. It wants something from me. And every night, it gets a little bolder, a little closer. Last night, I woke up with marks on my chest, not scratches. Fingers 0.5 long, bruised indentations, as if someone had pressed their hand against my ribs, not to hurt me, just to see if I was ready. I haven't slept since. If you see a vent above your bed tonight, one that wasn't there before, don't look inside. Don't shine a flashlight. And whatever you do, don't fall asleep. I used to live in an apartment with a huge bathroom mirror. The kind that takes up the whole wall over the sink, almost too big for the space. I used to stare at it sometimes, brushing my teeth, and I'd wonder what made humans so obsessed with reflections. Now I know. We're not supposed to be seeing ourselves. We're supposed to be watched. The first time I noticed something off, it was minor. A twitch. I blinked, and in that fraction of a second, I swear my reflection blinked slightly late. Like a glitch. Like it wasn't quite in sync with me. I laughed it off. My brain misfired. Whatever. Lack of sleep. Anxiety. Normal excuses. But then it happened again. And again. Each time, the delay was longer. More obvious. Sometimes it smiled when I wasn't. A little too wide. A little too long. And its eyes, they stayed open when mine were closed. That's when I stopped looking in the mirror. Problem is, I still had to live there. Still had to pass by the bathroom. And sometimes, just as I was walking past the doorway, I'd see myself already standing in the mirror before I'd even stepped in, like it was waiting, watching. Practicing point one night, I covered the mirror with a blanket, taped it down. Thick, black fabric. No light. No reflection. That should have been the end of it. But the blanket started moving. It would bulge slightly, like someone was pressing their face against it from behind. Like breath was fogging up the fabric. And at night, I'd hear soft tapping from underneath it. Fingernails. It got bolder. I started hearing my voice. When I wasn't speaking. Just a whisper in the apartment. Calling from the bathroom. Saying things I never said. Let me out. I'm better than you. You're tired. Let me be you now. I tried to smash the mirror. Took a hammer to it. Swung with everything I had. But it didn't break. It didn't even crack. The surface rippled. Like water. Like a membrane. And the reflection? It smiled at me. My body, my face. But the expression wasn't mine. It was mocking. And its eyes, I'll never forget, those eyes were black. Not bloodshot. Not shadowed. Just gone. Nothing behind them. That night, I slept in the living room. Kept the lights on. But at some point, I must have nodded off. Just for a minute. When I woke up, the mirror was uncovered again. And I was standing in front of it. I don't remember getting up. Don't remember moving. But I was there. My nose almost touching the glass. And on the other side, not me. It had its hand pressed flat to the glass. Mine was hovering in the air. I didn't want to match it, but my arm moved on its own. Like muscle memory that wasn't mine anymore. Then it smiled, and I felt something warm running down my cheek. A nosebleed. Same as it had. A perfect match. But I never felt it happen. That's when I realized the reflection wasn't copying me anymore. I was copying it. I moved out that weekend. Left everything behind. Told myself I'd start over somewhere new. Someplace without mirrors, without glass. I even covered my phone screen with tape. Lived like a lunatic, but I was safe. Until yesterday, I caught my reflection in a bus window. Just for a second, it didn't blink. And for a moment, just a blink, I wasn't sure if I was seeing it from the outside or if I was already on the inside, looking out. I live alone. 1-bedroom place. Ground floor. Nothing fancy, just a quiet apartment on the edge of a small town. I've lived here 3 years. I know every corner, every sound, every creak in the floor. I knew something was wrong the second I saw it. It was a door. In the hallway. On the left wall between the bathroom and the linen closet. A white wooden door I had never seen before in my life. And it wasn't like I had forgotten it. It was new. Fresh paint. Brass handle. No dust. No scratches. No frame aging. It was like it had been installed overnight. Like it had grown out of the wall while I slept. I didn't open it. Not at first. I just stared at it. You ever have that feeling when you see a photo of yourself smiling somewhere you don't remember being? That was it. Something about the door felt familiar. But wrong. The next day, it was still there. I knocked on it. Nothing. But when I pressed my ear against it, I heard breathing. Not heavy. Not human. Slow. Constant, like something asleep. That night, I dreamed of the door, except in the dream, it was open, and beyond it, there was no room, just dark, endless, but something was in it, crawling, dragging itself along the floor with arms too long and fingers too many. It looked at me. I didn't sleep after that. I called the landlord. He came by the next morning. I showed him the door. He just stared. What door? I blinked, thought maybe he was joking. But no, he wasn't pretending. He didn't see it, couldn't touch it. I watched as he walked right past it, ran his hand through it, like it wasn't even there. After he left, I opened it. I had to. Inside was a room, not dark, not dusty, just a perfect copy of my own bedroom. Everything arranged the same. Bed. Nightstand, lamp, clothes on the floor, the same pair I had worn yesterday. But there was one difference. There was someone lying on the bed. Me. Asleep. I stood there for what felt like hours, staring at my own sleeping face. It was me, but wrong. Like a wax figure or a photo that smiled too much. And slowly, its eyes opened, and it looked at me, and it smiled. It whispered. Finally, I slammed the door, locked it, pushed a dresser in front of it, sat in the hallway shaking for hours. I thought about calling someone, but what would I even say? Hey, I found a door to a duplicate room with a version of me sleeping inside. But it didn't matter, because the next morning, the door was gone, not blocked, not covered. Gone. No frame, no paint. Just smooth wall like it had never been there. And for a moment, I was relieved, until I noticed something off about my bedroom. My bed was made, and I never make it. My dirty clothes were gone, and when I passed the mirror, the reflection smiled before I did. His name was Ethan. We met when I was 8. I remember the first day like it just happened. I was at the park, alone, because I was always alone back then. He came up out of nowhere and asked if I wanted to play. He had this huge smile, chipped front tooth, clothes just a little too small, like they were handed down again and again. He seemed real. He felt real. We hung out every day after that. But here's the thing. My parents never met him. He never came inside, never called, never showed up in pictures. I didn't think that was weird. I was a kid. Imagination is loud when you're young. Everyone thought he was an imaginary friend. But I remember him, the things he said, the games we played, and the one time he told me about the place under the town. He said it was where the forgotten kids go. He said that's where he came from, and that one day it would come for me. I thought he was just making up spooky stories. But I still remember the way he looked at me when he said it. Dead serious. Almost sad. Ethan disappeared when I was 11. No goodbye. No last game. Just gone. I cried for days. Told my mom he was missing. She said, "Who's Ethan?" I told her my friend. She looked confused. "You mean James? You and James play together after school." I didn't know a James. I thought maybe I'd lost time. Maybe I'd forgotten someone. But when I looked through old photos, there was a boy in them. A different boy. Same poses. Same moments. Same clothes even. But not Ethan. This new kid had no chipped tooth. No scruffy hair. His smile was perfect. Every photo altered. Like something had gone back and replaced him. I tried to tell myself I imagined Ethan. Years went by. I grew up. Life got loud again. And for the most part, I forgot. Until last week. I was cleaning out my parents' attic, going through old boxes, when I found a sketchbook. One of mine. Doodles from when I was 9 or 10. Pages full of monsters, made-up places, and in the middle of it all, page after page of Ethan, labeled, named, dates written in shaky kid handwriting, notes about games, secrets. One page stopped me cold. It was a drawing of Ethan holding my hand. Behind us was a black doorway in the ground, a jagged hole with arms reaching up. Scribbled in red crayon, above the hole were the words, "The place under the town." I showed it to my mom. She looked pale. "I don't remember you drawing that," she whispered. "Where did you say you found it?" Then she paused, looked at me like she was about to say something, but didn't. That night, I dreamed of Ethan. He hadn't aged a day. He was standing in the corner of my room. The same too small clothes, same chipped tooth. But his eyes were wrong. Black, wide, not angry. Just empty. He said, "You stopped playing." I couldn't move. He stepped closer. "It's lonely down there." Then I woke up. My hands were covered in dirt, and my bedroom carpet was stained with mud, like I'd been digging. The next morning, I went for a walk to clear my head. On the edge of town, in a field that used to be a dumping site, I saw it. A circular pit, perfectly round. Blacker than anything I'd ever seen. No light touched the bottom, and beside it, in the dirt, was a single handprint. Small. Child-sized. "My name's David. I live alone. I'm not some shut-in or anything. I've got a job, friends, hobbies. But I like my space. Always have. There's something comforting about routine. Waking up at the same time. Eating the same breakfast. Watching the same shows. It keeps the chaos out. Or it did. It started about a month ago. I was flipping through old photos on my laptop, trying to find a picture of my friend Mark from his birthday last year. But as I scrolled through folders, random shots from vacations, parties, whatever, I noticed something strange. I was in the background. In pictures I didn't remember being part of. I mean, these were photos taken by other people, different cities, different dates, places I know I wasn't. In one, I was sitting on a park bench behind a couple posing in front of a fountain in Chicago. In another, I was stepping off a subway platform behind a family selfie. Always in the distance, always half blurred, but always me. Same coat, same tired look, staring directly at the camera. I thought maybe it was some weird coincidence, a doppelganger. But the more I looked, the more I found. Photos from strangers' social media, friends' wedding pictures, even one from a local news article. Always there, in the background, watching. I stopped sleeping, started combing through every image I could find. Google Images, Reddit threads, Instagram tags. Every time I searched a location I'd been, or even places I hadn't, I found another photo, always older. always of me, just standing there, never smiling, never moving, just watching. It got worse that I found a photo from my childhood. A birthday party, my 7th, balloons, clown, cake. I remember that day perfectly, and there, in the back, barely in the frame, standing behind a tree, was me, adult me, older, same coat, same expression. I zoomed in until the pixels blurred, but I could still see it. The eyes, my eyes, watching. I started to lose time, little things at first. I'd look up from my desk and realize hours had passed. I'd wake up in a different room than the one I fell asleep in, sometimes with dirt on my hands, leaves on my floor, a single shoe wet with rain. One night, I found my phone open to the camera roll, photos I didn't take, photos of myself sleeping, from different angles, some from outside my window, some from inside my bedroom. My front door was still locked. That's when the calls started. Locked number, always at 3:33 a.m. I never answered, not at first. I'd just sit in bed, staring at the screen until it stopped. Then the voicemails came. No voice, just the sound of footsteps, walking slowly across hardwood floors, then pausing, then breathing, then a whisper, "Stop looking." I moved out of my apartment. Didn't tell anyone where I went. Rented a room in a town no one knew I'd ever been to. Got a flip phone. No social media. No internet. And for a while, it worked. Until last night. I was walking past a convenience store. Bright lights. Security cameras. And on the display screen behind the counter, where the CCTV feed loops, I saw myself. Not in the store. Standing across the street. In the dark, facing the camera, grinning. I ran. Didn't stop until sunrise. When I got back to the room, there was an envelope taped to the door. No name, no address, just a single photo inside. It was of me, asleep, and standing in the doorway behind me. Was me again, but he was smiling now, wide, like he'd been waiting for this moment. Like he finally understood something I hadn't. On the back of the photo, in handwriting just like mine, was a sentence. "You are not the original. I don't know who I am anymore. Or how long I've been this copy. Maybe he took my place years ago. Maybe I was always just the version in the background. And maybe someday, if you take a photo at just the right time, you'll see me, too. Far away. Blurry, watching, waiting. It started with the sound. A tapping, soft at first, like fingernails drumming against wood. I didn't think much of it. Maybe it was the house settling, or maybe a squirrel in the attic. I let it go, even though it kept me up at night. The sound was persistent, relentless, just a tap, tap, tap. But then something changed. One night, I heard it louder. More distinct. It wasn't random anymore. It followed a pattern, almost like a message. Tap, 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 pause, tap, tap, tap. Tap. It was like it was trying to tell me something. I stayed awake for hours, listening. Each time, my heart would race a little faster. It was like it knew I was listening. Like it could feel me getting closer. I followed the sound. Upstairs, through the hallway. It led me to the bedroom. But the tapping wasn't coming from the walls. It was coming from inside the mirror. My reflection was different. I mean, not at first. But as I stared longer, I realized it wasn't matching my movements. Not entirely. I was there, but not there. Like the reflection was a little too slow. The movements delayed. I pressed my hand to the glass. The tapping stopped. But there was something else now. A shift. Something behind the glass. Slowly, like a fog, the reflection changed. It became clearer, sharper. The edges of the reflection darkened. And then it smiled that IT didn't look like me anymore, that IT looked like something else that I pulled away. My heart pounding, that I ripped my hand away from the mirror, stumbling backward. My breath shallow, but the reflection didn't move. It stayed there, watching me. And in that moment, I knew something I hadn't realized before. There was someone, something, already living in that room, that it's been weeks since that night. I moved the mirror, covered it up. I locked the bedroom door and haven't gone back in. But the tapping didn't stop. Every night, I hear it. Not just from the mirror anymore, but from every corner of the room. Walls, ceiling, under the floorboards, that I hear the tapping from the air vents now. The pipes, the electrical outlets, that it's getting closer, that I can feel it. The tapping, the echo, the rhythm. It's coming for me, I'm sure of it. And I'm not stupid enough to think that if I just stay out of the room, it'll stop. I know it won't. It's waiting, watching. The worst part is, sometimes when I walk past a window or catch a glimpse of myself in a puddle, I swear the reflection isn't me. Not entirely. I'll see my face twisted into that same grin. The eyes black and hollow, like they've been waiting for me to catch on. Last night, as I lay in bed, something whispered through the wall that IT was soft at first, barely a murmur. Come back. And the tapping started again. Louder, closer, faster, that I don't know how much longer I can run, that I don't know what's in there. But I know one thing, that it's not me anymore. I found it at an estate sale, that a dusty old clock. Nothing special about it. Just a brass-framed piece with ornate hands, an intricate face with no numbers. The kind of thing that would blend into 100 other forgotten knickknacks. But when I picked it up, it felt wrong. Like I wasn't supposed to touch it. Like it wasn't meant to be found. But the woman selling it said it was just an antique. A family heirloom, that I didn't think much of it. I like clocks. Old ones, new ones, any kind. Something about how they tick. Constant, reliable. It's the one thing in this world that never changes. Right? I brought it home. At first, it worked perfectly, ticking away like any other clock. But the more I stared at it, the more something felt off. The hands didn't move in the right direction. They seemed to wobble, staggered, like the clock was trying to remember how to tick forward but kept slipping back. The first time I noticed something was wrong was at 2:13 a.m. that I woke up to hear the sound. The ticking, louder, more insistent. That I glanced at the clock. That IT read 2:12. It was 1 minute behind. That I figured it was just a fluke, a mechanical malfunction. So I adjusted the time, set it back to 2:13. The next night, it happened again. That I woke up at 2:13. The clock read 2:12. But this time, when I adjusted it, the hands moved a little too easily, a little too quickly, almost as if the clock wanted me to change the time. I ignored it, kept going. But after a few nights, I started to notice something strange. When I reset the time, the clock would skip ahead on its own, just a little. A second, maybe two, then it would snap back, ticking the wrong way, like it was slipping backward into time. I couldn't figure it out. I thought it was just a malfunction. But every time I tried to reset it, I started feeling weird, like something wasn't right, like I was losing time. I started setting alarms, making sure I wasn't late for work, appointments. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was forgetting something important. Then it got worse. One morning, I woke up in a panic. The clock showed 7:30 a.m., but I had no idea what time it was. I hadn't set an alarm. Had I missed something? Was it a work day? I jumped out of bed, checked my phone, and it was 7:30 p.m. I wasn't late for work, but I had no memory of the last 12 hours, just gone. A blank. The clock, meanwhile, had reset itself, The hands had gone back to 2:12. The minute hand was just about to tick forward to 2:13. The next day, I stayed awake, sat in front of the clock, watching the hands, listening to the tick, tick, tick. It felt like they were taunting me, moving in slow motion. I couldn't focus. The sound felt like a heartbeat, like I was waiting for something to happen. And then, something did at exactly 2:12 a.m. The clock ticked backward, once. Twice that IT skipped over the minute, like it was rewinding. And when it stopped, the hands were pointing at 1:30. That I froze. That no, this wasn't possible. That I was still awake. This wasn't some trick of the mind. The clock was rewriting time. That I watched it. The second hand, the minute hand, all of them jerking, jumping back through time, each tick a fragment of moments I didn't remember. And then I realized the clock wasn't rewinding the clock. It started with an inheritance. My aunt, who I barely knew, left me an old house in a small town. It wasn't much, but the house had been in the family for generations. The place was full of antiques, dusty furniture, and cobwebs in the corners, the kind of house that felt like it had never been touched by time. As soon as I walked in, I knew something was off. The air was heavy. The silence was oppressive, but I shrugged it off. It was just an old house. What else was I supposed to do with it? I spent my first few days going through the rooms, clearing out boxes, trying to make it feel like it was mine. But there was this one room, a room I couldn't stop thinking about. The study. It was tucked away at the back of the house, behind a heavy, ornate door that seemed out of place. I'd never been inside before, but something about it called to me. One evening, I opened the door. Inside, it was like stepping back in time. The furniture was old, the shelves lined with dusty books. But what caught my attention wasn't the books or the desk. It was the portrait. It hung on the far wall, a massive oil painting. It wasn't a landscape or a family portrait. It was a picture of a single person, a woman. Her features were delicate, almost angelic, with long, dark hair and pale skin. She wore a heavy dress, one that looked like it belonged to a different era, a time long gone. But it wasn't her clothes or her beauty that drew me in. It was her eyes. They weren't painted like a regular portrait. They were alive. The gaze followed me. No matter where I stood, no matter how much I moved, her eyes remained locked on mine, unblinking. I felt a chill run through me, and I shook it off, thinking it was just the darkness of the room, the silence playing tricks on me. But the longer I stood there, the more I felt like something was wrong, like I was intruding. Then I noticed something else. A small detail at the bottom corner of the painting. A date, 1873. The portrait was old, very old. I couldn't stop staring at it. The woman in the portrait seemed so familiar, and I couldn't figure out why. Something about her face felt close. I'd never seen this painting before, and yet it felt like I had. I stepped closer, closer still, until I was standing directly in front of it. That's when I saw it. For just a moment, I thought I saw a movement in her eyes. A shift. Like she blinked. I backed away, my heart racing. I turned around to leave, but something stopped me. A whisper. Soft. Almost inaudible. Stay. I spun back around, but the room was silent. The woman in the portrait still stared, her gaze burning through me. I reached out, my hand trembling. Something told me I shouldn't, but I needed to touch the frame. I don't know what came over me, but I ran my fingers along the edge of the painting. That's when I felt it. The frame was warmer than it should have been. Not just a little, but almost hot. Like it had been sitting under the sun for hours, and then it happened. The woman in the portrait smiled. Her lips twisted into a grin that wasn't at all like the serene expression she'd been wearing just moments before. It was a wide, sharp grin. Her eyes widened, the pupils narrowing like a predator's. The warmth from the frame spread up my arm, seizing my whole body. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. The whisper came again, this time louder. Stay. I've been waiting. I pulled my hand away, stumbling back. But it was too late. The air grew thick. The room felt suffocating. The portrait seemed to shift, the woman's form warping as if she were about to step out of the frame. I could hear her laughing, but it wasn't a sound I could describe. It was a sound that vibrated in my bones and my chest, a laugh so deep and so real. It seemed like it was coming from within me. I ran out of the study, slamming the door behind me, my pulse racing. But no matter how far I went, no matter what room I hid in, I could hear it. That laugh, echoing in my mind, getting louder. And then that same whisper again. I'm closer now. You can't escape me. You'll never leave. That night, I couldn't sleep. The whispers followed me through every room. They were in the walls, in the floorboards. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her, that woman, smiling at me, her eyes following me wherever I went. I couldn't escape. The next morning, I went back into the study. The door was closed, the room untouched. But the painting, it had changed. The woman was still there. But now, her smile was wider, more hungry, and beneath it, I could see something else. A shadow, a shape. It wasn't the woman anymore. It was something behind her. A figure, tall, dark, and twisting, like it was trying to break through the canvas to step into my world. I couldn't stay. I left the house, locked the door behind me, and swore never to go back. But when I returned home to my apartment, I saw it. In the corner of the room, a frame, identical to the one I'd seen in the study. The painting was there, and I swear, I could hear her. I'm waiting. It started with a simple purchase. An antique mirror. I know. You're probably thinking, not another haunted mirror. But this one was different. I was at a flea market, the kind where people leave their old things to gather dust. It wasn't a grand piece, no ornate frame or gilded edges. Just a simple, rectangular mirror, a little tarnished around the edges, but still clear. Almost too clear. It caught my attention because, well, it was too perfect. The glass shimmered as if it had just been cleaned, but the frame was old, scuffed. It looked out of place, but in that odd way where you couldn't help but be drawn to it. The seller told me it had been passed down through generations. She didn't know much about it, other than it had been in her family's home for over a century. But she said it was good luck, that the mirror had a special power. At the time, I thought she was just trying to make a sale. But I was desperate for something to fill that empty space on my wall. I didn't ask too many questions. I took it home, placed it in the hallway, and figured it would give the place a little character. It was nothing extraordinary, just a mirror. But then, it started. At first, it was subtle. When I'd pass by it, I'd feel a strange sense of discomfort, like something was off. I thought it was just me being paranoid. But the feeling didn't go away. It was like the mirror was watching me. I know that sounds ridiculous. A mirror? Watching me? But there was something about the way the glass reflected things. It wasn't just an ordinary reflection. Sometimes, I could see things in the mirror that weren't there. I'd look at it, and in the reflection, I'd see shadows moving in the corner of the hallway, shapes that weren't visible when I looked directly at them. At first, I thought it was my imagination, but I knew what I saw. Then it happened. One night, I woke up to a sound from the hallway. It was faint, like a whisper, soft and continuous. At first, I ignored it, thinking it was just the house settling. But when I glanced at the clock, I realized the hour was far too late for anything normal. The whispering came again. This time, it was louder. A voice. My name. Come closer. It was coming from the hallway. I felt my blood run cold. I couldn't move. I don't know why I didn't just get up, go check the hallway, but I stayed in my bed, my eyes glued to the mirror across the room. The glass shimmered, the surface rippling as though something was moving just behind it. And then I saw it. A face. It wasn't mine. It was a woman's face, pale, with dark eyes that seemed to pierce right through me. Her lips were cracked into a thin, twisted smile. I gasped and blinked, thinking maybe my vision was blurry, that I'd just woken up from a bad dream. But when I opened my eyes, she was still there. And she was staring at me. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. The whispering continued, now louder, now urgent. Come closer, please. Come closer. I fought the impulse to move. The fear was paralyzing. But somehow, I got up, my legs shaking as I walked towards the hallway. As I approached the mirror, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The woman in the reflection wasn't just standing there anymore. She was moving, slowly, as if she was being pulled closer to the glass. Each step she took, I felt it in my chest, like a tightening pressure, like something was drawing me in. I reached out, my fingers brushing the cold surface of the glass. The moment my hand made contact, the air around me grew thick. The hallway stretched in a way I couldn't explain, the walls twisting as if the space itself was warping, bending. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Then, with a final, horrifying lurch, the woman in the reflection reached out. Her fingers touched the glass, but they didn't stay there. Her hand pushed through. It was like the mirror was alive, and then I felt it. Her hand, cold as ice, wrapped around my wrist. The whisper came again, now directly in my mind. Come closer. I wanted to scream. I wanted to rip my hand away, but I couldn't. I was frozen in place. The woman's face was so close to mine now, her eyes wide, her mouth stretching into a grin that was wrong, too wide. Her teeth jagged, sharp, like the smile of a creature that wasn't human. You belong here, she whispered, her breath cold against my skin. You will be part of me now. With a surge of panic, I yanked my hand back. The mirror rippled, like water disturbed by a stone. And in that instant, the woman's face vanished, her laughter echoing in the air. High-pitched and full of malice. I ran. I didn't stop to think. I slammed the door behind me, locking it. The rest of the night was a blur. I don't know if I slept. I don't remember. All I know is that the mirror is still there. It began with a sound, or rather, the absence of it. When I first moved into the old house on Elm Street, I thought it would be a fresh start, a break from the noise of the city, a place to gather my thoughts. The house was enormous, like something from another era, with dark wood floors and long hallways that seemed to stretch on forever. Its rooms were vast, each one with high ceilings and thick curtains that blocked out the sun, making everything inside feel dim, almost frozen in time. The air always felt heavy, like something was waiting, like the house was breathing, waiting for something or someone to fill it, but I wasn't prepared for the silence. The first few days were normal. The creaks of the house settling, the distant sounds of birds from the large oak tree outside. But then the silence began. It started softly, like a whisper in the back of my mind. I woke up in the middle of the night to hear nothing. Complete, utter silence. No wind. No sounds of the house. Just an oppressive quiet that filled every corner. It didn't make sense. Houses have sounds. They creak, they hum, they breathe. But this place was different. The silence pressed in on me, almost as if the house itself was holding its breath. One evening, after another day of strange quiet, I decided to explore. Maybe it was the isolation making me paranoid, but I needed to know what was happening. The house felt like it was watching me. I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't truly alone that I started in the basement. It was the place I avoided the most, with its damp, musty smell and the narrow stairs that creaked under my weight. The basement was vast, filled with old boxes, furniture covered in dusty sheets, and an overwhelming sense of being in the presence of something old. Something that had seen much more of life than I ever would. That I turned on the light, and the flickering bulb illuminated the room in a pale yellow. It was as if the light didn't want to be there, fighting against the darkness that seemed to spread across the walls. I walked past the old trunks and tables, running my fingers along the smooth, cold surface of a broken mirror. My breath hitched as I caught my reflection. Just for a moment, my face was obscured by something else. A shadow. It flickered, like a trick of the light that I dismissed it, convincing myself it was just my nerves. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, and then I heard it. A sound. Soft, faint at first. A whisper. At first, I thought it was the wind, but the windows were all shut. The walls seemed to pulse with it, as if the sound was coming from the very bones of the house itself. "Come closer," I froze. My heart stopped. The voice was so soft, so gentle, yet its command echoed in my chest. I swallowed hard, forcing my feet to move. Slowly, I followed the sound, drawn deeper into the basement. As I moved past the rows of old furniture, I noticed something. There was a door hidden behind a stack of old boxes. I hadn't seen it before. That I approached it cautiously, my breath shallow. The door was small, almost insignificant compared to the rest of the house, but there was something off about it. The wood was warped, the edges cracked. It seemed out of place. I reached for the doorknob, my fingers trembling as they brushed the cool metal. And then the whisper came again, louder this time, more urgent. "Open it." Without thinking, I turned the knob. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a small, dark room. It was cold. I stepped inside, and the air felt heavier, thicker. There was a strange, damp smell in the air, mixed with something else, a metallic tang, like old blood. The room was empty, save for one thing. A large, old mirror leaning against the far wall. Its glass was dirty, covered in grime, but I could still see my reflection, just barely. That I stepped closer, drawn to the mirror, unable to resist. I wiped a hand across the glass, and the surface rippled like water. That's when I saw it. Behind me, in the reflection, something moved. It was faint at first, just a shadow, but then I saw it more clearly. A figure, tall and thin, standing just behind me. It was cloaked in darkness, its face hidden, but its presence was undeniable. That I turned around quickly, but there was nothing there. Just the empty, cold room. That I looked back at the mirror, but the figure was still there, staring at me, its eyes dark and unblinking. "You shouldn't have come," it whispered. My heart pounded. I stumbled back, my mind racing. What was this? What was happening? I ran up the stairs, out of the basement, and slammed the door behind me. I leaned against it, trying to catch my breath. My skin was cold, sweat beading on my forehead. I couldn't stop shaking. The rest of the night was a blur. I couldn't sleep. Every creak, every gust of wind outside seemed to carry that whisper with it. "You shouldn't have come." Days passed, but the silence didn't lift. It stayed with me, lingering in the corners of every room. The house seemed to breathe, like it was alive, and I wasn't sure if I was going insane or if something else was at play. That I began to notice other things. Small things, at first. Objects moved slightly out of place. The chair I had left by the fireplace would be a few inches to the left when I returned. My keys, which I always left on the kitchen counter, would be gone, only to appear in another room, as if someone had been using them. The whispering began to return, louder now, more insistent. It came at night, in the dead of silence, when the house was still. Come back to the room. Come closer. It was always the same voice. Cold, commanding that I couldn't resist anymore. I had to know what was in that room. The mirror, the figure. I had to understand the S.O. I went back to the basement, back to the door. When I opened it this time, the room was different. The mirror was no longer just a mirror. It was a gateway, something darker and more sinister. The figure in the reflection was no longer just a shadow. It was real. It stepped out of the glass, its limbs long and distorted, its face a black void with glowing, empty eyes. You shouldn't have come. It hissed, reaching out toward me that I wanted to run. I wanted to scream, but my feet wouldn't move. I couldn't move. I was rooted to the spot, trapped by the figure's gaze. And then, the room began to shift. The walls stretched. The air became thick with a suffocating pressure. The figure moved closer, its hand reaching for my throat that I woke up in my bed, gasping for breath. But something was wrong. The room was dark, the air too still. And then I saw it. In the corner of my bedroom, the mirror that it wasn't there before. It had come to me that I could hear it whispering. And this time, it wasn't in the distance. It was inside my head. You've come too far, it said. You're part of me now. And then I understood. The house was alive. It was waiting for me. Waiting for anyone who dared to walk in. I was never meant to leave. When I woke up, I was back in my room. My bed was still beneath me, the sheets tangled in my legs. But everything felt wrong. The silence was so deep, so thick, that it was suffocating. It was the kind of silence that makes you question whether you're even alive. Was I? Or had I already slipped into something worse? I pushed myself up, the room spinning for a moment before the edges of reality settled back into place. My head throbbed. My body felt heavy, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was out of place. The walls seemed to pulse. The shadows in the corners of the room were moving. And the mirror, it was still there, sitting in the corner, in the spot where it hadn't been before. But this time, something was different. The reflection was wrong that I couldn't make out the figure at first. It was obscured by a haze, a fog of sorts, that clung to the edges of the glass. But then, as my eyes adjusted, I saw it. The figure wasn't a shadow this time. It was a person, a woman. She was pale, almost translucent, her hair a tangled mess that hung around her face like a veil. Her eyes were wide, unblinking, and they stared directly at me. No, not at me. Through me. Her mouth opened, just slightly, and I could hear her whispering. You should have never left. I couldn't breathe. My heart raced as I backed away from the mirror, but my feet wouldn't obey me. It was like the room itself had shifted. The floor felt uneven, like I was standing on something unstable, something that could collapse at any moment. Her reflection grinned that it was wrong. It was twisted. There was something behind her, something in the shadow of her figure. Something dark, swirling. I could feel it, just beyond the edges of the glass, waiting, watching that I turned away quickly, trying to shut out the image. But when I looked back, the mirror seemed to grow larger. It stretched across the entire wall, its surface flickering, the edges rippling like water disturbed by a stone. Come back. Her voice wasn't coming from the mirror anymore. It was in the room with me, inside my mind. A part of me knew I should run. I should leave this house, leave everything behind. But another part, the darker part, wanted to stay. I wanted to know. I needed to understand that I stepped forward, my legs moving against my will, my hands trembling as I reached for the mirror. As my fingers brushed the surface, it was like touching ice, cold, biting, unnatural. The reflection shifted. The woman's face contorted, her features warping and twisting into something more grotesque. Her skin stretched and peeled away from her face, revealing a skull beneath. Her mouth opened wider, impossibly wide, like it was going to swallow me whole. "You belong here now," I screamed, but no sound came. I pulled my hand away from the mirror, stumbling backward, but it was too late. The air around me grew heavy, thick with something foul, something ancient. The temperature dropped rapidly, and I could see my breath in front of me, condensing in the cold. The whispering returned, louder now, as if it was coming from all directions at once. "You should have never left." I turned toward the door, desperate to escape, but the hallway stretched longer than I remembered. The walls were shifting, twisting like they were alive, breathing in time with my heart. I ran, my footsteps echoing in the corridor, but the end of the hallway never seemed to get any closer. I turned back. Nothing was behind me, just the ever-present shadow of the mirror. But then I realized something, that I wasn't in the hallway anymore, that I was back in that room. The mirror room, the one I had sworn I would never return to. The door slammed shut behind me, trapping me inside. The room was smaller now, the mirror more immense. It took up the entire wall, and the woman inside it wasn't smiling anymore. She was screaming, her face twisted in agony, her eyes wide and pleading. But the sound wasn't coming from her. It was coming from behind the mirror. That I took a step back, my body trembling, but I couldn't look away. The glass rippled again, distorting like water in a storm. And then a figure began to emerge. Slowly, painfully, like something clawing its way through a thick, oppressive fog. That I tried to scream, but the air in my lungs was crushed, suffocated by the presence that was now stepping out from the mirror. It was tall, unnaturally tall. Its limbs were elongated, too long, bending in ways that human bodies shouldn't bend. Its fingers were long, ending in sharp, claw-like nails that scraped against the glass as it pulled itself through. And then I saw its face. Or what was left of it. It was hollow, like an empty skull, with no eyes, just dark pits where they should have been. Its mouth hung open in a grotesque grin, and as it stepped closer, I felt its breath, cold, damp, and fetid, wash over me. I stumbled back, my body paralyzed by fear. But it wasn't fear that kept me still. It was the silence. The house had gone silent again. The air thickened, pressing in on me from all sides. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears, deafening, overwhelming. And then the creature spoke, but not with a voice. No, it was something more insidious. A whisper that invaded my thoughts, curling into my mind, suffocating me from the inside. "You are mine now." I couldn't think. I couldn't move. I was trapped, caught between the mirror and the creature that was now standing before me. Its claws reached out, brushing against my cheek, and I could feel the cold burn of its touch. "Come home." It whispered. That I couldn't resist anymore. Its grip on me was too strong. And then I felt it, like I was being pulled into the mirror. Like I was falling, sinking into the reflection. My body began to twist, distort, stretch out of shape, as if I were becoming one with the glass itself. That I screamed, but no sound came. It's strange, really, how time begins to bend when you're trapped. At first, you fight it. You try to hold onto the fragments of what you once knew, to preserve the sense of reality you so desperately cling to. But soon, it all starts to slip away. The days lose their meaning. The hours blur. And in the end, all that remains is the weight of the silence, pressing down on your chest, choking the breath from your lungs. I don't know how long I've been in this house now. Maybe weeks. Maybe months. Time doesn't exist here anymore. The walls are starting to close in, though. The air is heavy, and each breath feels harder to take. The mirror calls to me. I hear it every night. At first, I tried to resist, to shut myself in the room with no windows, to block out the whispers. But no matter how far I go, the house seems to reach for me. It pulls me back, draws me in. The mirror waits. It's always there, lurking in the corner, reflecting a world I can never touch. I see its surface rippling, shifting, almost alive with its own dark energy. It calls me, and I know, it's not just a mirror anymore. It's a doorway, a passage into something worse, something that waits for the moment you lose your will. Every night, I can hear it. Come back to me. The voice comes from inside my head. It's soft at first, barely a whisper, just a flicker of thought. But the more I ignore it, the louder it gets, until it's like the house itself is speaking through my mind, pulling at my thoughts, pushing me toward the glass. At first, I thought I was imagining it. But then, one night, the mirror wasn't just calling. It was alive. I'd been sitting on the edge of the bed, eyes fixed on the flickering reflection, feeling its pull, when I saw something shift within the mirror. A crack. Fine at first, just a tiny fracture in the glass. But then it widened, slowly, as if the mirror itself were breathing, its skin stretching and tearing, a sinister pulse of light flickering beneath the surface. I froze. My heart stopped for a moment, and the air seemed to disappear, leaving only the suffocating sound of my own breath in the silence. The crack spread, jagged and uneven, and I knew. I had to turn away, but my body wouldn't move. A hand pressed against the glass. Thin fingers, long and bony, with nails that scraped against the surface. I could hear them, faint at first, but the sound grew louder, the nails raking against the mirror in a rhythmic, maddening scrape. And then the hand pulled at the glass. The mirror flexed and rippled, distorting like water, and I could feel the weight of it, pulling at me, reaching for me. I closed my eyes, but I couldn't escape it. The mirror was calling me, and then the whispering became a roar. You're mine. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. It was like the house was devouring me, piece by piece, every inch of my mind being consumed by the presence that resided in the mirror. The figure. I could see it now, emerging through the crack. It was tall, impossibly tall, its limbs so long they seemed to stretch beyond the boundaries of the glass. It reached for me. The fingers curled around the edge of the mirror, long claws digging into the edges of the frame. The reflection warped, bending and twisting as the creature pulled itself through, one agonizing inch at a time, and then it stepped out. It was tall, but not in a normal way. It was unnaturally long, its limbs extending beyond the human form. Its body was skeletal, thin to the point of being almost fragile, but I could feel the weight of its presence, the unnatural aura that seeped into the room like an oil spill. Its face was obscured by shadow, but I could see its eyes, dark, empty pits of nothingness, like black holes pulling in everything around them. I couldn't move. It reached out with a hand that was so long, so impossibly stretched, that it seemed to go on forever. The claws on the end of its fingers scraped the air, drawing closer to my chest. I backed up, desperate to escape, but my feet were frozen to the floor, my body no longer obeying my will. The creature stepped closer, its breath cold against my skin, its presence filling the room like a nightmare made flesh. And then it spoke. I've waited so long for you. The voice, if you could call it that, was soft, like the rustling of leaves in the wind. It slithered into my ears, wrapping around my thoughts, making it impossible to think of anything else. I tried to scream, but no sound escaped my throat. The creature's mouth stretched open, impossibly wide, revealing rows of jagged teeth, sharp and white, like the teeth of something ancient. It smiled, a grin that stretched across its entire face, and I could see it now. The thing behind the grin. The thing that was consuming me from the inside out. You belong to me now. Its hands reached for me, its claws sinking into my skin, pulling me closer, pulling me toward the mirror. And then, as if I had been dragged underwater, everything went dark. I woke up again, gasping for air, the room spinning. But the darkness didn't lift. The silence was back, thicker than before, and it felt like the weight of the world was on my chest. The mirror was gone, and the house was empty. And no more whispers, no more cracks, no more creature that had haunted me for so long. But I could still hear it. Its voice was no longer an external sound. It was in my head, a presence that followed me wherever I went, tugging at my thoughts. You belong here, forever. I could feel it, the pull, the call, the weight. I couldn't escape it. It had already taken me, and now I was its prisoner. I am its prisoner. I'm not sure when it started, but now, it's like I've always been here. The house doesn't feel like a place anymore. It feels like an extension of me, like it's become part of me. I don't even know if the house has walls anymore. Sometimes it feels like the entire world around me is this mirror, the reflections rippling and shifting, calling me, drawing me in deeper and deeper until nothing else exists. I tried to leave. I really did. But each time I reach for the door, I find myself standing back in the same room, the same hallway, the same cold, oppressive air. It's like the house shifts around me, warping reality itself to keep me here. The mirrors, they're everywhere. Small ones in the corners of rooms, large ones covering the walls, and sometimes I see reflections of myself in places I never stood, in rooms I never entered. It's as though the mirrors have become my only true reflection. And the real world is slipping away. I used to see my reflection in the mirror, the person I was before all of this. But that person isn't there anymore. The face staring back at me in the glass is a stranger. Sometimes I think I can see it smirk, as though it's enjoying my terror. It's becoming harder to distinguish between myself and the thing in the mirror. The longer I stay here, the more I feel like I'm fading, like I'm becoming part of the reflection. Sometimes I hear it, the whispering voice, that same one that lured me in the first time, come closer. At first, I thought I imagined it, but now it speaks to me every day. Every moment, I hear its call, soft and insistent, urging me to come closer, to step into the mirror, to become part of it, to join what lies beyond. I wish I could say I resisted, but I haven't. I can't. I feel the pull, the weight of it, seeping into my very bones. Every time I hear the voice, every time I see that distant reflection of myself in the mirror, I feel like I lose a little more of who I am. I wonder if that's how it starts for everyone. You step inside, one foot at a time, not realizing that by the time you look back, you're already gone. The first time I heard the voice for real, not in my head, but in the room with me, was the night the mirrors began to move. I was sitting on the floor in my room, staring at one of the large mirrors against the far wall. It's one of the older ones, framed in heavy, dark wood that's warped over the years. The glass is cloudy, so much so that you can barely make out a proper reflection. It's unsettling, distorted, like a glimpse into a place that shouldn't exist. That's when it happened. The reflection in the glass flickered. It was small at first, like a ripple in water, then it grew. The surface of the mirror began to distort, twisting and bending as though it were alive. I couldn't tear my eyes away. My reflection started to move, but it wasn't my own. It wasn't me at all. The face in the mirror smiled, but it wasn't me. It was wrong. The eyes were hollow, black voids where there should have been life. And it wasn't just a smile, it was a grin, a wide, cruel grin that stretched impossibly across its face. I could feel its presence in the room, even though the reflection was still just glass. It felt close, and then it spoke. "You're mine now." The voice came from the mirror, from the thing on the other side of the glass. The smile widened, as if it were pleased by my terror, my inability to move, to escape. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. All I could do was stare, frozen in place, as the thing reached for me through the glass, its fingers curling, pressing against the surface as though it were trying to break through. I wanted to scream, but nothing came. I wanted to run, but I couldn't move. It was like being trapped in a nightmare, where the more you struggle, the worse it gets. The mirror, it was growing larger, consuming the entire wall now, and the thing in the reflection was reaching toward me with real hands, hands that didn't belong to me. And then it stepped through the glass. It wasn't like it emerged slowly, like the creature from before. No, this time it broke through. The glass shattered into millions of tiny shards, but they didn't fall to the floor. Instead, they hung in the air, suspended as though frozen in time. The figure, the thing, stepped through the shards, moving toward me in the eerie silence. Its form was no longer even remotely human. It was elongated, its limbs stretched impossibly long, its body twisted and deformed in ways that defied logic. Its face, or what was left of it, was gaunt and skeletal, its features a cruel, contorted mask of agony. Its eyes, those hollow, black pits, were fixed on me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. "Come closer," it whispered again, its voice low and laced with a strange hunger. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. I could only watch as it advanced, the air around it growing colder and colder with each step. And then, just as it was about to reach me, a sharp crack echoed through the room. The mirrors, all of them, large, small, scattered across the room, shattered, splintering into pieces that hung in the air like jagged glass daggers. But it wasn't over. No, the worst part hadn't come yet. The shards began to twist. They turned, slowly, spiraling like a vortex. And with each turn, they came closer to me. They weren't just falling. They were alive, spinning like razor blades, closing in on me. I could feel their sharp edges scrape the air as they approached, each one a silent threat. And then, in an instant, they were all around me, pressing in, cutting through the space, drawing closer to my skin. I could feel the cold, the pressure, the sting of the glass as it brushed past me. But the creature, the thing, was closer now. It stood directly before me, its black eyes locking onto mine. Its smile widened again, stretching too far, its jaw cracking open with a sickening noise. And then, just as the mirrors converged on me, the creature spoke one last time. "Welcome home." The glass shattered again, and everything went black. I thought I had been wrong about the house. I thought, after everything, after what I'd seen and endured, that it had finally released its grip on me, that I was free. But I was wrong. The worst part had only just begun. I woke up one night, not in my room, but in the kitchen. It was colder than it should have been. Too cold. My breath fogged in the air, and for a moment, I wondered if I was still dreaming. But no, the cold felt real. Unnaturally real. I stood up, shaky and disoriented, my legs unsteady beneath me. The house was quiet again, eerily silent, like a deep, suffocating stillness had settled into every corner. I could feel the walls pressing in, watching me, waiting for me to make a move. My eyes darted to the windows, but the glass was black, like the world outside had been swallowed by the same darkness that haunted this place. And that's when I heard it. The whisper, soft, like a breath on the back of my neck. "You can't leave." I spun around, but the kitchen was empty. No sign of anyone. No movement. The whisper had been so close, so real, like it had come from within the very walls of the house itself. I shook my head, trying to rid myself of the feeling of being watched, but it only intensified. The air grew colder, thicker. Then the lights flickered. At first, it was just a small, harmless flicker. But then they flickered again, and this time, something shifted in the darkness. A figure. Just a shadow at first, but it was there. Tall, dark, moving as though it was made from the very air itself. It was hard to make out its features. Its shape was blurry, shifting, but I could see it clearly enough to know that it wasn't human. The shadow seemed to grow, stretching out across the walls. The light flickered again, casting its pale glow on the figure, revealing its true form for just a split second. The thing standing before me had long, spindly arms, impossibly thin, ending in sharp, jagged fingers. Its face. I couldn't even call it a face. It was a distorted mask, eyes too large, mouth too wide, stretching unnaturally in a grin that didn't reach its hollow, empty eyes. It didn't speak. It didn't need to. The message was clear. "You belong here." I staggered backward, my heart hammering in my chest. I wanted to run. I needed to get away, but the house, the walls, they were closing in on me. The air was thick with something foul, something that made it harder to breathe with every passing second. The shadows around me deepened, pressing against my skin, their coldness seeping into my bones. I turned, desperate to escape, but the door was no longer there. The kitchen had transformed. The walls stretched unnaturally high, like the very house itself was shifting, bending, warping around me. The shadows pressed closer, as though the darkness itself were alive, reaching out to claim me. The whispers began again, louder this time, coming from all directions. From every corner, from every wall. "Come back." I closed my eyes, squeezing them tight, trying to block it out. But the more I tried to block the voices, the more they filled my mind. They weren't just whispers anymore. They were thoughts, like they were invading my very consciousness. "Come back. Come back. You're ours now." I tried to scream, but my voice was strangled, choked by the oppressive weight of the house around me. The air felt like it was solid, pressing against my chest, squeezing out every breath. And then I saw it. The mirror. It wasn't in the kitchen before. I knew it wasn't. But now it stood there, across from me, its surface slick with moisture, reflecting nothing but blackness. No light, no image, just an empty, consuming void. It was the same as all the others, its frame warped and twisted, but this one was different. As I stood frozen, the surface of the mirror began to ripple, like water disturbed by a stone, and then it broke. The crack spread slowly across the glass, splintering outward, but it didn't shatter into pieces. No, it splintered in a way that made the reflection distort and bend unnaturally. From within, something moved, something alive. The glass stretched and warped as though the mirror itself was being pulled from the inside. And then I saw it, the face, that same twisted, distorted face from the shadows. The thing from before. It was alive, pushing through the mirror, its jagged fingers curling around the edge of the glass, pulling itself out, inch by agonizing inch. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I was trapped in the room with it, and I was losing my grip on reality. The walls were no longer solid. They bent, warped like the mirror, stretching and contracting with the pulse of the thing coming out of the glass. Its eyes were on me, those hollow, black pits. They bore into me, and I could feel them crawling inside my mind, eating away at my thoughts, at my sense of self. And then it smiled. It wasn't a smile. It was a grin, a sickening, too wide grin that stretched across its face like a gaping wound. The teeth, so many teeth sharp and jagged, gleamed in the flickering light. "Welcome home," it whispered. Before I could react, it was in front of me. The space between us closed with an unnatural speed, its long fingers reaching out, wrapping around my wrist. Its grip was cold, so cold it felt like it was draining the heat from my body, like it was siphoning the life out of me. I tried to pull away, but the thing's grip was unyielding, like iron. Its fingers dug into my skin, but instead of pain, all I felt was the cold. A deep, penetrating cold that seemed to freeze me from the inside. The house, the mirror, they were closing in on me. "You will never leave," it said, the words slithering into my mind like a poison. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. And then, just like that, I was pulled into the mirror. The world tilted and spun as I was sucked into the blackness of the glass. My body felt stretched, pulled apart, like I was being torn in two. And when I looked up, when I saw what was on the other side, I knew there was no escape. I was trapped, just like the others, just like all the others who had stepped into this house, this nightmare, thinking they could leave. But once you enter, you're already part of it. The house owns you now. The mirrors have you. There's no going back. I don't know how long I've been here. Time has become meaningless, like a fading dream. There are days when I feel like I'm stuck in a loop, like nothing ever changes. And then there are other days, if you can even call them days, where I forget who I am entirely. It's as though the house has begun to shape me, to mold me into something else, something that fits into its warped, fractured existence. The mirrors, they don't lie. They show me who I've become, piece by piece, with each passing moment. The faces I see there aren't mine anymore. The reflection, the one staring back at me, is nothing more than a pale imitation. There's a darkness in my eyes now, a shadow that wasn't there before. It's as if the longer I stay here, the more the house has claimed me, until I'm no longer human, no longer whole. But the mirrors show me more than that. They show me the others who've been here before, trapped like I am. Their faces stare out from the glass, their eyes wide with terror, mouths open in silent screams. They beg for help, but their cries never reach me. They're stuck, just like I am. That I've learned to ignore them now. At first, I tried to speak to them. I tried to reach out, to tell them I was here, that I wasn't like them, that I could still escape. But the moment my fingers touched the glass, I saw it. The reflection, it wasn't mine. It was something else entirely. It's not just a reflection. It's a window into a world beyond, a world where I no longer belong. But it's a world that's alive. It has eyes, and they're watching me. That's when I first realized what I'm seeing in the glass isn't just the past. It's the future. You'll become one of us. The whisper came again, as it always does. It comes from every corner of the house, from every shadow, from every crack in the walls. It's everywhere, inescapable. There's no escaping the voice. It knows me, knows everything about me. I can't hide from it. I can't run from it. I don't even want it anymore. I used to think I could resist. I thought maybe, just maybe, I could find a way out. But that was before the mirrors started showing me what was waiting for me. Before the reflections started calling to me. They speak to me now, not with words, but with feelings. They show me glimpses of the future, and every time I look, I see myself in the glass. Only it's not me anymore. It's something else. A shadow, a hollow thing, an echo of who I once was. And now I understand. I'm not here to escape. I'm here to join them. I know what will happen next. I've seen it. The thing in the glass, the thing that was me, is waiting. It's waiting for me to step forward, to give in, to accept what's been offered, because there's no escaping. There's never been any escape. The house has you. The mirrors have you. You belong to it now. Every night, the whispers grow louder. The thing in the mirror, the reflection that isn't me anymore, starts to speak. And the voice isn't just a voice. It's a presence, a feeling that surrounds me, fills me, suffocates me. It speaks in riddles, in fragments, in a language I can't quite understand, but I know its meaning. The house is alive. It's older than anything I could have ever imagined. It was built on the pain and fear of those who entered before me, and now it's feeding on me, on my fear, on my memories that I tried to fight it at first. I tried to deny it, but the house, it wants you. It draws you in, slowly, steadily, until you can't fight it anymore. Until you need it. I know that's what's happening to me now. I feel it. There's a coldness in my chest that's slowly spreading, creeping into every inch of me. It's not physical. It's something else. Something deeper that I don't know how much longer I can resist. The thing that lives in the mirror is closer now. I can feel it. I see it in the reflection. Myself standing there, staring back at me with hollow eyes. A smile that's not mine stretching across my face. I've seen this before, that I've seen what's coming, that I found the door tonight, that I don't know how I missed it before. It's always been there, in the hallway, hidden behind the rotting wallpaper. But I found it, and I swear, I heard it calling to me. There's something behind that door, something I can't quite make out, but I know it's important, that I know it's my way out. But as I stood there, staring at the door, I felt the cold air closing in around me. The shadows, thick and unnatural, pressed against the door, and I could hear the soft scraping noise, the noise of something moving on the other side. The whispering was louder now. It wasn't coming from the mirrors anymore. It was coming from inside the walls, from behind the door. You can't leave. And I knew then that the door wasn't an escape. It was a trap, a final trap. The house was never going to let me go. It doesn't want me to leave. It wants me here, with it, with the others, with the reflections. Because once you've crossed the threshold of this house, there's no coming back. And as I turned away, I heard the sound of footsteps behind me, slow, methodical, intentional. I don't know what's behind me now, but I do know this. When I turn around, there won't be a door anymore. The mirrors, they're waiting, and soon they'll have me. I didn't know what to expect when I left the door behind me. I didn't even know if I could escape at all. But when I walked, when I moved further into the house, I felt something shift. The air changed, thickened with the same presence that had always been there, just lurking beneath the surface. It had always been waiting for me to step forward, to let it take me. But tonight, it felt different. The house was louder, its pulse almost visible, reverberating in my bones, in the pit of my stomach. The lights flickered violently, as though the very electricity in the house was struggling to stay alive, to hold on against the darkness that was crawling through the cracks in the walls. That I could feel it then, the thing watching me from the shadows. Not a thing from the mirrors this time. Something else. Something much, much worse. That IT was breathing. It was waiting, and I could hear its thoughts. It wasn't a voice, not words, but a pressure on my mind. A sickening weight on my consciousness that was slowly pushing me closer to the edge of madness. It wanted me to hear it. It needed me to listen. The walls stretched. The hallway grew longer, twisting and bending in ways that didn't make sense. The doors, if you could even call them doors, were now warped, malformed, as if they'd been melted and reformed by something terrible. I reached out, my fingers grazing one of the doors, feeling its surface, its warmth, as though the house itself had a heartbeat. But it wasn't alive in any traditional sense. No, the house was something much older, much more insidious, and then the whispers came again. Not from the mirrors, not from the walls. This time, the whispers came from the air itself, from the very floor I stood on, the ceiling that seemed to lean in closer. They were insistent now, louder, as if the house were trying to drown me in its madness. You can't hide. You belong here. We will never let you go. My skin prickled, my hands trembling. I pressed myself against the wall, trying to steady my breath. But the house was pushing, pressing in from every direction. I wasn't sure if I was hallucinating or if the world around me was truly warping, but I felt it. The house was alive. It was alive, and it wanted me. And that's when I saw it. The mirror.it stood in the middle of the hallway, a cracked, dirty thing, reflecting nothing but a black void. It shouldn't have been there. I hadn't seen it appear. But there it was, gleaming with a sick, unnatural shine. I walked closer, drawn to it. Not by choice. No, something inside me was compelled to approach it. My feet were moving on their own. My mind screamed to stop, but my body ignored it. I was heading straight for it, just as I had with all the other mirrors in this place. And as I got closer, I could feel my pulse racing. My heart was hammering in my chest. But it wasn't fear that was making my heart race. It was fascination. It was that cold, deep, undeniable pull, like something I couldn't escape, something that was part of me now. The moment my hand touched the surface of the glass, I knew. I knew something terrible was about to happen. The reflection in the mirror was wrong. It wasn't me. Not completely. The figure staring back at me had my face, my eyes, but there was something more, something darker. My reflection grinned, a wide, twisted grin that didn't belong on my face. I could see the hollow of its eyes, the darkness that had seeped in there, consuming what had once been human. It reached out to know. I reached out. The reflection's fingers twitched, curling, pressing against the glass from the other side, but it was my hand moving. And suddenly, there was no more glass between us. There was only the cold, black abyss. Only that thing, the reflection, pulling me in. I stumbled backward, my breath coming out in panicked gasps, my chest tight with fear. But the thing in the mirror, it was alive. It wasn't a reflection anymore. It was a presence. It was pulling me closer, just as the house had pulled in so many before. And the worst part? I didn't even try to fight it anymore. Welcome home. The voice, soft and low, came from within the mirror, but it echoed inside my mind. It wasn't talking to me. It was inside me, weaving its thoughts into my own. Suddenly, the mirror cracked, shattered into pieces. But instead of falling away, the shards were drawn back, sucked into the center, pulling me forward. I couldn't stop it. My body was moving, shifting, like the house was guiding me, pulling me to where it needed me to go. I fell into the mirror, but I didn't fall into the glass. No, I fell into the darkness. The cold, suffocating blackness that stretched out in every direction, a place where there was no light, no sound, no escape. The world had become a twisting void of shadow and silence. The walls were gone. The air was thick with the feeling of something watching, something waiting, and then I felt it. That touch, like cold fingers brushing against my skin, their claws scraping against my flesh. It was the house. It had taken me. The house was inside me now. I had become part of it. I am no longer who I was. There is no me anymore. The house has consumed me, body and soul. I am one with the shadows now. I am one with the darkness that breathes through the walls. The whispers are mine. As much as they are the house's, there's no escape. There never was. I'm the reflection now. I'm the thing in the mirror, waiting for the next soul to cross its path. The next lost, frightened soul who thinks they can find their way out. But they won't. None of us will. I don't remember how long I've been here anymore. Days blur into nights, and time has lost its meaning. I used to think that if I just held on to who I was, if I just refused to give in to the madness, I could escape. But that was before I truly understood the house. The house isn't trying to kill you. Not exactly. It doesn't need to. It's much more insidious than that. It breaks you, piece by piece. It tears you apart and remakes you, until you no longer recognize yourself, until you're something else, something that belongs to the house. And when it's done, it will simply let you drift, a hollow shell of who you once were. Just another part of its twisted collection. I've seen the others. They're everywhere. Shadows in the corner of my eyes, faces pressed against the walls, trapped in their own reflections. Some of them have been here longer than I can fathom. They've lost their sense of time, just like I have. Some of them scream, begging to be freed. Some just watch, silent and still, like they've long since given up. And then there are those who follow you. They follow, step by step, their hollow eyes on you, their empty smiles stretched across their faces. They know. They know there's no way out. I've stopped speaking to them. I stopped trying to help them. It's pointless. The house doesn't care about your pain. It thrives on it. The house doesn't need to do anything more than watch you fall apart, piece by piece. It's been doing it for centuries, and it will keep doing it for centuries more. The worst part is the silence. When the house is quiet, when there are no whispers or creaks in the walls, that's when you know you're really lost. Because that's when the house has you completely. It's taking your will, your hope, your very soul, and in return, all it gives you is silence. A hollow, suffocating silence that wraps around you like a shroud, filling your ears, your mind, your heart. I still hear the whispers sometimes, though. They never stop. Not really. They come in waves, soft at first, like a distant hum, then growing louder as they burrow into your skull. At first, they were just whispers from the mirrors, then from the walls. Now, they come from the very air. You can't leave. It's too late for you. You're one of us now. I've heard those words so many times that I no longer flinch when they come. I don't scream anymore. I don't run. I've stopped fighting. But there's a part of me that still clings to the idea that I could leave. That maybe, just maybe, there's still a sliver of hope. I've tried to escape. I've tried to find the exits, to pry open the windows. But they always close. They always change. The door I thought I'd walk through isn't there anymore. The hallway that once seemed endless is now a maze that shifts and reconfigures itself every time I try to retrace my steps. It's as if the house is aware of my every move. Like it's watching, waiting, knowing exactly when I think I can slip through its cracks, and it lets me think I can. For a while, but then it pulls me back. I've been to the basement. I've ventured into the deepest, most forgotten parts of the house. There are rooms there, rooms I don't remember seeing before. Rooms that were never part of the house when I first entered. Rooms that smell of decay, of something older than the house itself. They are wrong. They don't belong to this world. And in the deepest part of those rooms, I found it. The source.it wasn't a person. It wasn't an object. It wasn't even a thing I could describe. It was a presence, a darkness, a void that stretched beyond reason. It filled the room, consuming everything. The air turned thick and heavy, and I could hear it breathing, deep and slow. The walls seemed to pulse with its rhythm. I don't know what it was, or what it had been, but I knew it had always been here. It was older than the house. It was the house. It was the thing that made the house what it was, feeding on the souls of those who entered, twisting them into something they were never meant to be. The first time I saw it, I ran. I turned and fled, my heart pounding in my chest. But there was nowhere to run. The hallways twisted back on themselves. The doors I thought I could escape through were locked. The house was changing again, pulling me deeper into its heart, and then the whispers came. They didn't come from the mirrors, from the walls, from the air. This time, they came from within me. You are ours now. You always have been. There is no escape. You were always meant to be here. I knew what that meant. The house had consumed me. I had stepped over the line, crossed the threshold where escape was no longer an option. There was no way back. No way to undo what had been done. I am the house now. I didn't want it to be this way. I didn't want to lose myself to it. But in the end, it doesn't matter what you want. The house doesn't care about your desires. It doesn't care about your fight. It waits. It whispers. And eventually, you give in. I know I'm not the first to be claimed by the house. I've seen the others, those who were here before me. They walk the halls, shadows of their former selves. But what frightens me the most? The one thing I fear more than anything else is the realization that I am one of them now. I am the whisper. I am the reflection. I am the thing that waits. And soon, you'll find me, too. The house always finds you. I thought, at first, that I could fight it. I thought I could run far enough away, hide long enough, outsmart it. But this place, this house, it's not bound by the same rules that govern the world outside. It doesn't follow the laws of space and time. It shifts, bends, warps reality until it becomes something else entirely, something unrecognizable. I tried to leave once. I ran down the hallway, my breath ragged in my chest, my heart pounding. I can still hear my footsteps echoing, the sound growing louder, drowning out everything else. But then it stopped. The hallway stretched before me, and for a moment, I thought I could see the end. The door. The way out. It was there, bathed in light, like a beacon of hope. But when I reached for it, the door, it melted away. Vanished like smoke in the wind. The hallway had changed. I froze. I looked around, and it was as though the walls were closing in on me. The air grew thick, suffocating, pressing in on me from all sides. The door had disappeared. The hallway was no longer a hallway. It was a labyrinth, twisting and turning in impossible angles, the same walls stretching out in every direction. And that's when the whispers came again. They're always there, but this time, they felt different. You thought you could leave. You thought you could escape us. You can't run. There's nowhere to go. I tried to scream, but the sound was swallowed up by the darkness. The walls, if you could even call them walls, were alive, shifting, pulsing as if something inside them were trying to break free. The air itself felt wrong, like it was made of something heavier, something more sinister. And then I saw it.at first. It was just a shape. A shadow out of the corner of my eye, moving in ways that shouldn't have been possible. It came closer, and the closer it got, the more my body shook, paralyzed with terror. It was too large to be human, too fluid to be anything natural. Its form was constantly shifting, like it couldn't decide what it wanted to be. Its eyes. There were hundreds of eyes. Small, black, soulless eyes dotted across its body like pinpricks of darkness. Each one stared at me, unblinking, as if they could see straight into my soul. And in that moment, I knew. I knew that whatever this thing was, it was not something I could fight. It wasn't trying to hurt me. Not in the way I thought. No, it was waiting. It was studying me, learning, as if it could see something in me, something that had yet to reveal itself. The creature, if you could even call it that, let out a low, rumbling sound, almost like a laugh. But it wasn't a laugh. It was a vibration, a noise that reverberated in my bones, in my very mind, until I felt like I might shatter. You're just like them. You'll become one of us soon. It spoke through the air, through the walls, through the ground beneath my feet. Its voice wasn't a sound, it was an experience, like a feeling you could taste, a memory you could touch. And it seeped into me, crawling through my thoughts, twisting them, wrapping itself around everything I'd ever been. The creature took a step forward, its hundreds of eyes narrowing in unison, watching my every movement. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. The pressure in the room was unbearable, and then it spoke again. "We're waiting for you. You'll join us soon." I felt the chill crawl across my skin, like icy fingers brushing against my flesh. I wanted to run, to get away from it, but there was no escape. I could feel the walls pressing in on me again, the air thick with something foul. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. And that's when I realized the worst part. I wasn't just trapped in the house. I was becoming a part of IT. IT was happening, just like it happened to the others. The house wasn't just a place. It was a process. A slow, agonizing transformation. It fed on you, slowly stripping away the things that made you who you were, until there was nothing left but a hollow shell, a puppet to its will. I could feel it happening. The creature was no longer a shape in the distance. It was inside me now, inside my mind, inside my body. "It's too late," it whispered. "You're already one of us." I pressed my hands to my temples, trying to push it out, trying to force it away, but the pressure in my head only grew. The walls around me warped again, the hallway bending impossibly. My fingers trembled, as if my very bones were being rewritten, reformed, like the house was shaping me into something new, something it could use. I looked at my hands. They weren't my hands anymore. They were wrong, twisted, contorted, like they were made of something soft, something fluid, and I could see the shadow of the creature stretching from within me, from deep in my chest. And I heard it again, louder this time. "We are one." That's when I understood. I wasn't just being transformed. I was the house. I was becoming part of the living, breathing entity that it was. The house doesn't just trap you. It takes you. It consumes you, reshaping you, until you're no longer human, no longer anything you recognized. I had become something new, something hollow, something unrecognizable, and in that moment, I wasn't sure if I was scared anymore. Fear had no place here. All that was left was the inevitable. The house had claimed me. I was just like the others now, trapped in the walls, a reflection in the mirrors, a shadow moving in the corners. I was one of them. And when you come here, when you cross that line, you will be too. The house isn't just an inanimate structure. It's not a mere collection of bricks, wood, and glass. It's alive. You can feel it in the air, the way it presses down on your chest, the way the shadows flicker just a bit too long, as though they're waiting for something. Something specific. Something you. Once you're here, you're already gone. There's no leaving. There's no freedom. The house, it owns you now. You may try to flee, but you'll only find yourself lost deeper in its maze of never-ending corridors, of rooms that twist and warp when you aren't looking. The more you struggle, the more it pulls you in. And you will struggle. You won't just give in right away. You'll fight it. You'll scream, and you'll beg for the doors to open, for the windows to break free. You'll search for an escape. But the house is patient. It waits until you're so exhausted, so broken, that you forget how to fight. That's when it comes for you. That's when it shows you what it really is. The house reveals itself slowly, like peeling back layers of skin, each layer more horrifying than the last. The walls bend and groan under its weight, as though they are alive, shifting with a hunger you can't understand. The doors open and close by themselves, beckoning you into rooms you shouldn't enter, pulling you into hallways that never seem to end. And then, when you're weak enough, it starts to show you what's inside. The things that live within it. I remember the first time I saw it clearly, the thing that haunts the house. I was wandering, desperate, hoping to find some way out. The hallways had begun to change, again, like they always do, stretching and twisting, like something was being reshaped right before my eyes. I stumbled into what I thought was a closet, but when I turned around, I realized I had walked into a room I'd never seen before. It was dark, colder than the rest of the house. There was no light, no warmth, nothing but the oppressive weight of the darkness that filled the room. And then, as if the air itself was alive, it shifted. A figure appeared in the corner of the room. At first, it was just a shadow, black and slick, shifting unnaturally. And then, it moved. I wish I could say I didn't scream. I wish I could say that I was brave enough to face it, but I couldn't. The thing was so wrong, so unnatural, that every instinct in my body screamed for me to run, to get out, to do anything but look. But I couldn't look away. It was a thing that shouldn't exist. It was made of the shadows, of the very walls themselves, its form shifting like liquid smoke, its face contorted into something that might have once been human. Hundreds of eyes blinked open across its body, each one seeming to lock onto me, focusing on me with such intensity that I could feel them burrowing into my soul. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. And then it spoke, not with words, not with sound, but with thoughts. It spoke inside my head, filling it with its cold, malevolent presence. You're just like the others. You'll join us soon. It wasn't threatening me. It wasn't trying to kill me. No, it was telling me something that was inevitable. It was explaining the truth of the house, the truth of everything that had happened to the ones before me. The ones who had been swallowed up whole, their minds and bodies twisted into something unrecognizable, something that belonged to the house. I tried to fight it. I tried to close my eyes, to block out the whispers, to focus on anything else. But there was no escape from it. The house was in my mind now, deep in my thoughts, crawling beneath my skin like a poison. And as I stood there, trapped in the room, unable to move or breathe, I realized that it wasn't just the house that was alive. It was the thing inside it. The thing that fed off you, that grew stronger with each soul it consumed. Each mind it twisted. I watched in horror as the thing began to move closer, its eyes narrowing, its form shifting like it was trying to see me, to consume me. Piece by piece, I didn't even try to fight anymore. There was no point. I wasn't going to survive this. I was going to become one of them. One of the things that lived in the walls, in the shadows, in the glass. I had already been claimed by the house. I was its new vessel, its new reflection. But just before it reached me, just before I became part of the darkness, something inside me shifted. I felt the pull of the house, its need to claim me completely, but I couldn't stop it anymore. It was too strong, too deep. And then, something else happened. The walls bent. They twisted. The room began to collapse around me, shifting like it was being torn apart by an unseen force. The thing in front of me began to writhe, its form distorting as though the house itself was rejecting it, pushing it away. For a moment, I thought I might be free, but the house, it doesn't let go. Not ever. It was just another trick, another illusion. A brief moment of hope before it drags you back into the abyss. The walls closed in again. The whispers returned, louder than before, more insistent. You belong here. You will never leave. I know now. I'm not escaping. None of us are. The house has claimed me. And the worst part? It knows me. It knows what I fear, what I hope for, what I love. It will use it all against me until there is nothing left. When it's done, I'll be just another shadow, another whisper, another piece of the house. And you're next. There was a moment just before I truly gave up, when I thought I could still fight it. The house, it wants you to believe that. It wants you to think you have a chance. It feeds on that small, fragile hope, that flicker of defiance. It plays with you like a spider with a fly, drawing you in with the illusion of escape, with the thought that you can still get out. That maybe, if you run fast enough or fight hard enough, you can still break free. But that's the trap that I learned it the hard way. After I had lost track of time, after I had forgotten who I was, the house started to change. It wasn't just the walls and the floors anymore. No, it was everything. The air, the floorboards beneath my feet. The very fabric of this place had begun to warp, bend, twist into something else, something darker. The walls began to pulse, as if they had a heartbeat, as if the house itself were alive, waiting for me to fall into its grip. I remember the day I stumbled across the door. I can't explain why it called to me, but it did. It was different from the others. The house is full of doors, but this one was special. It gleamed with something otherworldly. At first, I thought it might have been an illusion, a mirage conjured up by the house to deceive me. But no, I couldn't resist. I walked toward it, my heart pounding in my chest. The door, it whispered my name, my real name, the one I had almost forgotten. I reached for the handle, and just as I touched it, the air in the room grew thick with a pressure I could feel in my bones. The whispers grew louder, as if the house itself were telling me to stop, to turn away. But it was too late. I pulled the door open, and I saw it. The room was dark, but there was something at the center, something alive, something waiting. The room stretched out into an endless void, the walls vanishing into an inky blackness. At first, I thought it was just another trick of the house, another room that didn't quite make sense, another place designed to confuse and trap me. But no, this was different. I stepped inside, and that's when I saw it, the thing at the center. It was a figure, but not human. It was massive, its shape flickering between forms, constantly changing, constantly shifting. There were limbs, long, spindly arms, and eyes, so many eyes. Hundreds, thousands of eyes, all over its body, staring at me, watching me. I could feel its gaze, deep inside my mind, as though it were searching for something. Something it wanted. It was hungry. That moment, I realized that this was the heart of the house. The true core. The place where it all began, where it all came from. The thing that had been feeding on me, shaping me, turning me into something else. I don't know why I walked closer. Maybe it was because I had lost all sense of who I was. Maybe it was because I had forgotten what it was like to feel anything other than the pull of the house. But I moved toward it. I felt its eyes on me, and I couldn't stop myself. It spoke to me, not with words, not with sound, but with that same presence that had invaded my thoughts, that had whispered to me since the moment I stepped inside. You're just like the others. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. A cold, harsh fact. I didn't fight. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I was already becoming part of it. Part of the house. And in that moment, I understood what it had been doing to me all this time. It wasn't just changing my body or my memories. It was feeding on me, using me. It had been slowly rewriting me, replacing my thoughts, my soul, until there was nothing left but the hollow shell of a person who once existed. The thing at the center reached out with one of its long arms, its fingers curling as if it were beckoning me. And despite everything, despite the overwhelming dread that filled every inch of my being, I couldn't resist. I let it touch me. The moment its fingers brushed my skin, I felt it, the cold, seeping into my veins, spreading through my body, sinking deep into my bones. It was like ice, but worse. Like my blood had frozen, like my heart had stopped beating, and yet, somehow, I was still alive. Alive in the worst way possible. You will never leave. Its voice was inside me now, not in my ears, but in my thoughts and my soul. I could feel it, deep inside. It had already claimed me. There was no turning back, and that's when I realized the house doesn't just trap you. It doesn't just consume your memories or change you into something else. No. It takes you. It doesn't let you die. It makes you part of it. I couldn't scream. I couldn't cry. There was nothing left to do but stand there, feeling the ice spread through me, feeling the pull of the house take me deeper into its grip. I could feel the walls moving, closing in on me, and the whispers, they were louder now, louder than ever before. They weren't just whispers anymore. They were voices. They were the voices of everyone who had come before me, everyone who had been swallowed by the house. I could hear their voices in the walls, in the floorboards, in the air. They were all around me, speaking at once, telling me that I was no different, that I would join them, that there was no escape. We are the house. We are one. And that's when I realized the worst thing of all. I was no longer me. I wasn't even a person anymore. I was a part of the house, a part of its endless maze, a part of its dark, unyielding hunger. And now that I've become part of it, I see it all clearly. I see how it works, how it feeds, how it waits patiently for those who are still outside, still living, still thinking they can escape. But they can't. Not anymore. Just like me, they will walk into the house, thinking they have time, thinking they can fight it. And like the rest of us, they will fall, and they will never leave. You think the worst part was when the house started feeding on me, when it tore apart my memories, my identity, my very sense of self. But no, that's not the worst part. The worst part is realizing, slowly, that you no longer want to fight it. That, somewhere deep inside, a part of you has accepted the house. A part of you knows that it's too late, that you're already lost, and you begin to embrace it, to let it in. Because the house is patient. It doesn't need to rush. It has all the time in the world. That it was during that last stretch, after the doors were closed and the walls had collapsed in on me, that I saw the others again. The ones who had been here longer than I had. The ones who had already been consumed by the house. They were the ones who truly belonged to the house now. Their bodies, their minds, twisted and warped beyond recognition, yet still somehow alive. Alive in a way that's more terrifying than death itself. That I watched them walk the halls, their faces blank, their eyes vacant, yet somehow still aware of their surroundings. They were like marionettes, moving with a strange, jerky rhythm, their limbs stiff and uncoordinated. The house had completely consumed their will, their desires, their purpose. They were now just echoes of who they once were. That I wanted to scream when I saw them. I wanted to run, but I couldn't. It wasn't fear that held me in place. It was acceptance. I could feel the house seeping into me, taking root in my chest, spreading through my veins. I knew that it wasn't just consuming me. It was turning me into one of them, one of the lost, one of the hollowed out, one of the forever trapped. I had no idea how much time had passed since I had first entered the house. Hours, days, weeks, it didn't matter anymore. Time had stopped making sense. There were no clocks here, no days, no nights, just endless darkness and the constant presence of the house. The walls seemed to pulse around me, like they were alive, breathing with an insatiable hunger. They didn't need to speak anymore. Their hunger was loud enough. But then, I heard something, a sound that was so faint, so distant, I wasn't sure if it was real. It was a voice, a cry, a plea. Someone was trapped, just like I had been. Someone was still trying to fight, still trying to escape. At first, I ignored it. I told myself it wasn't real. The house had already consumed me. There was no one left to save. But then the voice came again, louder this time. It wasn't a cry for help anymore. It was a whisper calling my name. You're here. You're still here. It was my own voice, but distorted, twisted. It came from within the walls that I don't know why, but I followed it. Maybe it was the last shred of humanity inside me, the last piece of my old self that refused to be consumed. Maybe I thought I could help. Maybe I thought I could save someone, anyone, from what was happening to us. I ventured deeper into the maze. The walls around me seemed to shift and change, bending in ways that didn't make sense, leading me down paths I didn't remember walking before. The house was playing with me. I knew it. It was testing me, toying with me. But I couldn't stop. I had to find the source of the voice. I turned a corner, and there it was. A door, just like the one I had opened before, gleaming with that same unnatural light. My heart raced. I reached for the handle, trembling. When I opened the door, the sight that met me was something I'll never forget. It wasn't a room, not really. It was a reflection of the house, but it was wrong. The walls were covered in dark, sticky vines, pulsating with a sickly green light. The air felt thick, heavy, as though I were breathing something alive. And in the center of the room was something that looked like me, but it wasn't me. It was a twisted version of me, a reflection, but far worse. Its eyes were black pools of emptiness, its skin pale and stretched tight across its bones. It was reaching out, its arms long and unnaturally thin, its fingers curling as if it were about to grab me. I stumbled backward, but the door slammed shut behind me. The air grew thick, suffocating. The creature, it wasn't me, it wasn't alive. It was a part of the house, a part of the hunger, a thing made from the darkness that had been growing inside me. It was the house itself, wearing my skin, and then, with a voice that was not my own, it whispered, "You will never escape. You are already here." And that's when I knew. It wasn't just the walls that were alive. The house itself was a creature. It had been feeding on us. Yes, but it was changing us. It was turning us into it. There is no way out of the house. Not for me. Not for you. Not for anyone who has ever stepped foot inside. The house doesn't just trap your body. It takes your soul, your essence, and twists it into something else. You become part of it. A reflection, a shadow, something hollow and emptied. I don't know how much longer I have. The voices are getting louder. The shadows are getting closer. I can feel the walls pressing in around me, hear the whispers in my ears, feel the cold fingers of the house wrapping around my heart. But maybe, just maybe, you can still escape. Maybe you can still run. But not far, because the house will find you. And when it does, it will take everything. And you'll become like the rest of us, a part of it. The house will always wait. I can feel it now, creeping up my spine, the sensation that I've never quite left, that I'm still inside the house. I should be gone by now, shouldn't I? But the thing is, the house doesn't let you leave, not like that. It doesn't just consume you and move on. It keeps you. It traps you. I'm still here, inside the house. Or rather, I'm everywhere. Every wall, every shadow, every heartbeat you feel in this place, that's me. The house made me part of it, just like it made the others. And now it wants you. It wants to see if you're strong enough, if you can withstand what I couldn't. I was once like you. I had my life. I had a name, memories, a world outside of this place. It's funny, isn't it? How quickly that can all be taken away. How easily the house erases you. It twists your memories, distorts your feelings, and suddenly you're nothing but a pawn in its game. No better than the others who walk these halls, their hollow eyes staring through you, their voices lost to the void. But you are different. I can feel it. You still think you have a chance. You think there's time to escape, don't you? Let me tell you something. The house is always closer than you think. It doesn't matter if you run, or if you hide, or if you beg. The house knows where you are. It always does. It's never been about finding the door or getting out of the maze. It's about becoming the house. It's about letting it sink into your bones, letting it fill you, consume you until there's nothing left. Nothing but the hunger. The endless, gnawing hunger. I thought I could fight. I really did. For a time, I fought with everything I had. But the longer you're here, the weaker you become. The walls press in. The air grows heavier. The shadows move without sound, curling at the edges of your vision, whispering promises of escape that will never come. There's a price for everything here. A price for each step you take, each breath you take. You think it's just a house, just a place that's lost its mind. But no, it's alive. It's always been alive. It feeds off fear, off pain, off desperation. It feeds off the idea that there's something better waiting for you beyond the walls. But there isn't. Once you've crossed that line, once you've entered the house, you've already made the choice. You've sealed your fate. You'll never leave. And worst of all, you won't even want to leave. I used to think I could hold onto my memories. My name, the life I left behind. But as the days wore on, as the house twisted me, it erased all of that. The house doesn't just take your memories, it rewrites them. It makes you forget the things you once loved, the things you once cherished. You're not you anymore. Not really. You're just another part of the house now, another piece in its endless, shifting puzzle. The voices, they get louder. At first, you think it's just the house messing with you, that it's all in your head. But no, the voices are real. They're the others, the ones who've already been consumed, already turned into the house's new servants. The ones who no longer remember who they were or what they were fighting for. They just walk the halls, their faces blank, their eyes empty. They know you're coming. They know you're next. You can hear their whispers, can't you? They're not speaking to you directly, but you can feel them. You can feel the weight of their presence pressing in on you. They want you to join them. They want you to fall. And then it happens. You cross that threshold, the one you didn't even know existed. You think you're still walking, still fighting, still trying to make sense of it all, but the walls have already shifted. The house has already rearranged itself. And the path you thought would lead you to freedom, it's gone. And in its place, there's something darker, something worse, something that's always been there, waiting for you, waiting for all of us. The door is locked. The way out is gone. And that's when it becomes clear there's no escape. There was never an escape. The house doesn't want you to leave. It just wants to keep you, slowly twisting you until you're just another whisper in the dark. I've seen it happen to others. I've heard their screams as they tried to escape, as they thought they could outrun the house. But you can't outrun it. You can't escape it. You can only become it. And I've seen you. I've seen you trying to hold on to yourself, to your thoughts, to your memories. But you don't realize yet that it's already happening. You're already changing. The walls are closer. The house is breathing deeper now, and it knows you're listening. You think I'm telling you a story. You think this is just a warning, but I'm not just warning you, I'm calling you. Just like the house is calling you. Just like it's always called to the ones before you. It knows you're here. It knows you're next. It happens slowly, at first. The change. The house has a way of moving inside you, like a sickness that creeps under your skin, slow and relentless. You never notice it at first, just a shiver down your spine, a flicker of light in the corner of your vision, the faintest whisper in your ear. But soon, it becomes clear. The house owns you. It's there in every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind that shakes the windows, every shadow that stretches out just a little too long. I thought I was still in control. I thought I could still hold on to who I was. But that's what the house wants you to think. It gives you the illusion of control. It lets you believe you're free, that you can still make a choice. But there is no choice. The house doesn't take your body right away. It takes your mind, your spirit, piece by piece. You're too busy, too distracted by the terror to notice how the walls are starting to change you. But when you finally wake up to it, when you finally see it, it's already too late. You think you're fighting it. You think you're strong enough to resist. But that's what the house feeds on: the fight, the fear, the desperation. It wraps around you, tighter and tighter, until there's nothing left of you but the hollow shell it's shaped from your bones. I remember the first time I saw the other me, the version of me that wasn't me. It was in a room, one I thought I recognized, but the walls were different now, darker, thicker, like they had been stretched somehow. The door opened, and I stepped in. At first, I thought it was just a mirror, but then I saw the eyes. Dark, empty pits where once there were human eyes. The figure in front of me wasn't quite right. It had my face, my body, but the shape was wrong, twisted. It was wearing my skin, my expression, my voice, but underneath it all, there was something that wasn't me. Something hungry. Something that knew, even then, I was losing myself. And that's when it hit me: the house doesn't just twist your memories. It twists you. You think you're still you, but the truth is you've already become part of it. It's inside you. It's crawling through your veins, turning you into one of them. The ones who've been here for so long they don't even remember what they were anymore. They're the house now. And so are you. I thought I could run. I thought that if I found the right door, the right escape, maybe I could get out of this nightmare. But that's just the illusion the house gives you. It lets you think you can escape, lets you think you're still in control, right until it has you. Right until it's too late. I tried to escape, tried to fight. The house laughed at me. I remember hearing it, a low, rumbling chuckle that shook the very air around me. The walls seemed to move in response, closing in on me, pushing me deeper into its grip. It wasn't just the house itself. It was something more. Something ancient, something evil, something that had always been there, waiting, growing stronger with every soul it claimed. And it knew me. The house knew everything about me, my fears, my desires, my every weakness. It played with them, twisting them, using them against me. I thought I was getting stronger, but I wasn't. I was getting weaker. The first time I truly lost myself, I didn't even realize it was happening. I was walking through the halls, thinking I was looking for a way out. But it wasn't the walls that had changed. It was me. The house had already taken me. It had rewired my mind, twisted my soul, until I was no longer the person I thought I was. I remember standing in front of a mirror, my reflection staring back at me. But it wasn't me. I could see it now, the way my face had changed. The way my eyes were empty, hollow. The way my lips twisted into a smile that wasn't mine. "You're one of us now," it whispered, and for a moment, I almost believed it. For a moment, I thought it was right. And then I remembered. I remembered what it was like to be human, to be me, to be free. But that moment was fleeting. The house doesn't let you hold on to those memories for long. I've seen it happen to the others. The ones who still wander these halls, lost, looking for a way out that doesn't exist. Their eyes are blank. Their mouths move, but they don't speak words. They just repeat the same thing over and over again, like a broken record. We are the house. We are one. And that's what the house does to you. It doesn't just consume you, it merges with you. It becomes you. It was happening to me, too. Slowly, surely, it was happening. And I could feel it. I could feel the hunger inside me growing, the desire to swallow everything around me. The house was feeding on my soul, and I was becoming one with it. I've stopped fighting it. I've stopped trying to escape. It's pointless now. The house doesn't want you to escape. It doesn't want to kill you. It wants to take you, to change you, to make you just like it. And it's so close now. So close to taking you. You can feel it, can't you? The walls are pressing in. The whispers are louder. The shadows are closer. You thought you had time, but you don't. The house is already inside you. You can feel it. You are already one of us. And when it's over, when it has you completely, you'll be just like the rest. A part of the house. Forever. I can feel it. Just like you can feel it now, the pulse of the house, beating through your chest, sinking with your heart. Every step you take, every breath you draw, it's closer. It's watching. It's waiting. I used to think it was just a thing that happened to other people. A nightmare, a myth, something you hear about in stories. But I was wrong. Dead wrong. It's real. It's always been real. And once you've stepped inside, once the doors have closed behind you, there is no getting out. It doesn't matter how strong you are. It doesn't matter how long you fight. The house is patient. It waits. It doesn't need to rush. It's been feeding on us for centuries. And the hunger, it never ends. Never. Do you hear it now? The walls creaking, the doors groaning. It's like a heartbeat, slow and deep, pulling you in with every pulse. You thought you were escaping, didn't you? You thought you could leave the house behind. But the house finds you. It always does. I can feel it, too, inside me. The hunger, the need. At first, I fought it. I tried to resist. But now I've stopped. I've stopped fighting. You can only hold on for so long before the house makes you forget. Before it twists you, shapes you into something else. A hollow thing. A shadow. I remember the first time I truly realized I was lost. It was the moment I saw them, the others, the ones who were already gone. I thought they were just memories, trapped in the walls, remnants of the people they used to be. But no, they're still here, walking these halls. Their bodies, their faces, they look like they belong. But their eyes are nothing but empty voids. They are the house now. You'll meet them soon. You'll hear their footsteps in the halls. Their voices, distant, faint, calling your name. They won't look at you. They won't see you. But they will know you. You're already one of them. There was a time when I thought I could escape, when I thought I could outsmart the house. But I was foolish. The house is smarter than you think. It knows your every move, your every thought. It watches, it listens. And when you think you've found a way out, it will pull you back in, just like it did to me. I tried to leave once. I found a door that didn't look like one of the others, an old wooden door at the far end of the hall, covered in vines. I pulled on the handle, heart racing, thinking that this was it. This was the way out. But when I opened it, there was nothing but a black void. A room that didn't exist, a place that shouldn't have been there. It was then I saw it, them. The others. They were waiting for me, watching. Their faces twisted in grotesque smiles, their limbs jerking in unnatural motions. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. They just stood there, blocking the exit. And as I turned to run, I realized that I wasn't running from them. I was running from the house. And it had me. Do you think you're still safe? Do you think you can turn away, forget what you've read here, and go back to your life? The house won't let you. You can feel it, can't you? The way your heart races, the way the room seems to close in around you, the way the air feels thick and heavy, like it's pressing in on you. It's already inside. It's crawling through your thoughts, your memories, your every step. I don't know how much longer I have. The others are getting closer. The whispers are louder now. The house is hungry. It's pulling at my mind, bending my thoughts, twisting me into something I'm not. But it's too late. There's no going back. And that's what the house does to you. It breaks you down, piece by piece, until there's nothing left but a shell of who you were. It turns you into one of them, one of the lost. The hollow, the house feeds on that. It feeds on the emptiness. It craves it. And now, it's craving you. You think you have time. You think you're still outside its reach, still safe. But I can hear it now. I can feel it, just like you can. The house is growing closer. It's always been closer than you think. And when it's ready, when the walls close in on you, when the doors are locked and the shadows have consumed everything else, it will take you. You will become part of it. The hunger will fill you. The house will wrap itself around you, and you will belong. Just like me. Just like all of us, Dot, I can hear the whispers. They're not mine, but they're close. So close. The walls are shaking now. They want me to join them. They want me to become one of them. And soon, I will, Dot, you'll be next. The house is waiting. And when it has you, when it has us, there will be nothing left but the silence. The hollow silence that fills the house. You can run. You can hide. But it's already too late. The house is already inside you. When I first stepped into this place, I thought I was just exploring. Maybe looking for an old story, a lost memory. A house abandoned for years, its windows boarded up, its doors locked tight. It felt like a relic from another time. A broken thing, but it wasn't broken. Not in the way I thought .it was alive. The first few days were the worst. I kept hearing things, footsteps behind me, faint voices that weren't mine, shadows that moved when I wasn't looking. But I thought it was my imagination. The mind plays tricks on you when you're alone. I was tired, scared, maybe even a little curious. It was easy to convince myself it was nothing, just the house settling, the wind, or the weight of too many forgotten years. But then, things started happening. Small things at first. A light flickering in a room I knew I hadn't turned on. A door that opened when I was sure I had closed it. A cold breeze on the back of my neck when the air was perfectly still. And then it began to grow. The house. It shifted, like it was alive, like it was breathing. The rooms, the walls, they rearranged themselves, and nothing stayed where it should be. The hallways stretched out in impossible ways, leading to doors that I couldn't remember opening, leading to places I shouldn't have gone. That I remember one night in particular. The air was thick with tension, and I was trying to find my way to the back of the house, trying to find the door I thought I'd passed earlier. But the hall kept going longer and longer, until it opened into a room I didn't recognize. The room was cold, much colder than it should have been. The walls were covered in mildew and rot. But the strangest thing was the mirror. It was old, cracked, and dark, but the reflections inside it, they weren't mine. They were the others, the ones who had already come before. The ones who had tried to escape, tried to leave, just like I had. Their faces stared back at me, twisted and contorted in unnatural ways. Eyes wide and hollow, lips pulled into twisted grins. They were alive, but not in the way that you and I are. They were trapped, stuck in the mirror, stuck in this place, forever. And in that moment, I realized the truth. The house doesn't just consume your body. It takes your soul. It traps you in its walls, twisting you until you become part of it. Just like those people in the mirror. Just like me. I didn't want to believe it. I fought it. I kept telling myself there was some logical explanation, that it was just a trick of the light, just the wear and tear of an old, decaying place. But the house was laughing. It was always laughing. The whispers got louder. They were closer now, filling the spaces between my thoughts, twisting my memories, blurring the line between what was real and what was just a dream. The house wanted me to forget. It wanted to erase everything I had been, everything I had known. And slowly, it did at first. I tried to keep my sanity intact. I tried to remember who I was, where I came from. But it was so hard. The house was so persistent. It pushed and pulled at my mind until the edges started to fray. Memories slipped away, one by one, like sand through fingers. Faces that had once been so familiar grew blurry. Voices turned into whispers I could no longer recognize. And then, one night, it was like everything clicked. I was no longer me. Not really. I stood in front of the mirror again, staring at the person who was supposed to be me. But I wasn't her. I wasn't him. I wasn't anyone. I was just part of the house. The realization hit me like a wave crashing against the shore. I wasn't lost. I had been changed. The house had already done its work. It had erased the person I had been and turned me into something else. Something empty. Something hollow. The others were still here. I could hear them. Feel them. They were in the walls, in the floors, in the corners of every room. They whispered my name now, just like they whispered theirs. Their voices were hollow, and they didn't sound like people anymore. They didn't even sound human. They were part of the house now. Just like me. I tried to run. I tried to fight it, but the walls closed in. The rooms changed. The house never lets you go. It never gives up. It doesn't care if you scream or beg or fight. It only cares about what you become. I stumbled through the halls, my mind spinning. The house was laughing, louder now, louder than before. It knew what I was thinking. It knew what I was going to do next. The doors, the windows, the way out, they all vanished. They weren't there anymore. I was stuck, and then there it was. The final door, the one I thought might be an escape, the one that led outside, out of this nightmare. It was the last thing that hadn't changed. I reached for it, desperate. But as I touched the knob, the house changed again. The door was no longer there. The walls had sealed off. The room itself had shifted. I was back in the beginning. The same hallways, the same rooms, the same hunger. I had become part of it. A reflection in a broken mirror. A voice in the whispers that never stop. And now, you can feel it, can't you? The way the air is thicker, heavier. The way the shadows seem to stretch longer, darker. The house is closing in. It's already started with you. You might not realize it yet, but it started. You can feel the whispers now. The walls are pressing closer. The house is waiting. And when it finally takes you, when it pulls you into its heart, its walls, its endless hunger, you'll be just like me. Just like the others. You'll be part of the house. You can feel the door behind you closing, can't you? The sound of the lock clicking. The house has you now. There's no escape. It's waiting. And soon, you'll be nothing but a shadow in the hallways. Another whisper in the walls. Another voice calling for help that no one will ever hear. Just like me. Just like all of us. The house watches. Always. It knows what you think. It knows what you feel. It's been waiting for this moment for as long as it's been here. For as long as you've been alive. The house doesn't need to chase you. It simply lets you wander. Lets you believe you can leave. Lets you believe you can survive. And then, when it's time, when you're tired, when you're weak, it pulls you in. I thought I could fight it. I really did. For so long, I thought if I kept my mind sharp enough, kept my thoughts clear enough, I could stay out of its grasp. But the house doesn't just take your body, it takes your mind. It warps it, twists it, until you're no longer who you were. I remember the first time it truly had me. I was standing in front of a door that didn't lead to anywhere I knew. I thought maybe it would be different this time. I thought maybe I could find something new, something that wasn't part of the house. But when I opened it, there was only darkness. It wasn't just a room. It was nothing. There was no floor, no walls, no ceiling, only endless blackness stretching on forever. And in that darkness, I saw them, the others, the ones who had been here before, trapped in the nothingness. Their faces were blank, their eyes hollow, staring straight through me. They didn't move. They didn't speak, but I felt them. They were waiting. waiting for me to join them, waiting for me to fade into that nothingness, to become a part of the house's endless hunger. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run, but the doors slammed shut behind me. There was no escape, no way out. It started to happen then. I started to forget. I couldn't remember what I had known before. My name, my memories, the people I had loved. They were all slipping away, like sand through my fingers. The house was taking them, one by one, and replacing them with something else. Something that wasn't me. I wandered the halls, no longer sure where I was. The rooms twisted and changed. Every turn led me to another dead end. The house was alive, shifting, bending, pulling me deeper into its dark heart. It fed on my fear, my confusion, my helplessness. The others, they were still here, watching, waiting. They never moved, but I could feel them. I could hear them sometimes, their voices echoing in the dark. They would say my name, calling me closer, but I couldn't answer them. I couldn't even remember what their names were anymore. I started to lose track of time. Days blended into nights. The house had no windows, no clocks. It was a place where time didn't matter. It didn't need to. And then it spoke to me. It was a whisper at first, soft, like a breeze brushing past my ear. But it was unmistakable. You belong to me now. At first, I thought it was a hallucination. The house had a way of making you question reality, making you wonder if the world outside still existed. But then the whispers came more often and louder. You will never leave. I tried to ignore them, tried to keep my grip on whatever reality I had left. But the whispers never stopped. They grew stronger until they filled every part of my mind, until I couldn't think of anything else but the sound of the house calling me. It was always there, always pulling me deeper. Do you hear it now? The whispering? The breathless, low voice that wraps itself around your thoughts, sinking into your very bones. It's the house. It's calling you, just as it called me. It starts so softly that you think you can ignore it. You think you can push it away, keep it in the back of your mind. But it doesn't let you. The more you fight it, the more it wraps around you, until there's nothing left of you but the house. You start to forget everything, who you were, what you wanted, what you dreamed. You become nothing but a shadow in the halls, a voice in the whispers, and when the house has you completely, when it's taken everything, you'll realize what it wants. It wants to consume you. It wants to keep you here, trapped forever. You'll be just like the others, an empty husk of what you once were, wandering the endless halls, waiting for someone else to join you. I can feel it again now. The pull, the hunger. The walls are shifting around me. The house is coming closer, reaching for me, ready to pull me in again. I know what will happen when it takes me again. I'll forget. I'll lose myself. But I'll still be here, part of the house, forever. And you, well, you're already feeling it, aren't you? You thought you could escape. You thought you could run, close the book, close the door, and walk away. But you can't. The house doesn't let go. You felt it, haven't you? The shadows crawling behind you, the cold breath on your neck, the way the air seems to thicken around you. It's already here. It's already waiting. And soon, it will have you. You'll be like me. Like the others. Trapped. Hollow. Forever. It's already too late. You can't run anymore. The house has you. I knew from the moment I felt it. The first stirrings in the walls. The first chill running through my bones. That I was already lost. There's no way to explain it to someone who hasn't felt it. The sensation of being watched by something that doesn't need to move. Something that doesn't have to chase you because it already knows your every thought, your every breath. The first time the house spoke, I didn't understand it. I thought I was just imagining things. Maybe the isolation was getting to me. Maybe I was too far gone. But that first whisper, I can still hear it. Clear as day. You are mine. The voice, it was soft, just a breath, like the rustling of dead leaves in a forgotten corner. But it knew. It knew me. The house knew everything I was afraid of. And once it had that, once it understood my deepest fears, it could twist me however it wanted. The second time, I tried to ignore it, tried to push it out of my mind. But it wouldn't stop. The walls hummed with its presence, vibrating, pressing in on me. The floors creaked underfoot, as if something was moving just beneath them, pacing. Waiting.it was when I started to lose time that I realized I was truly trapped. Days began to blend together. I couldn't remember what I had done hours before, let alone days. I wandered from room to room, unsure of where I was or how I had gotten there. But the house always knew. It was always right there, watching, listening, and then it began. The changes, the mirrors didn't reflect me anymore. I would look into them, and I saw them, those who had come before. Their eyes hollow, their faces twisted in silent screams, their mouths gaping wide, but no sound came from them. They didn't need to speak. I could feel their emptiness, their endless yearning. I could feel their hunger. And then, when I saw it, the room. The room I shouldn't have entered.it was nothing. Just a dark, empty space. The walls didn't even seem real. They were shifting, like the very fabric of the room was warping. It was a place that didn't belong. A place that wasn't part of this house. But I stepped inside anyway. The moment I did, the door slammed shut behind me, locking with a finality that sent a jolt of panic through me. I turned, my hands scrabbling at the door, but there was no handle, no way to escape. And then I heard it, those voices again, the whispers that never stopped. This time, they were louder, more insistent. They were coming from the walls, from the shadows, from everywhere. And they were all calling my name.it was like I could feel them pulling at me, reaching out, trying to drag me into the darkness that surrounded me. They were in the corners of my vision, just out of reach, like figures dancing in the shadows, waiting. But they never came closer. They didn't need to. The house was doing something to me. I could feel it. Have you noticed the way the floor feels under your feet now? The way the house seems to move beneath you, shifting slightly as if it's breathing? You think it's your mind playing tricks, don't you? You think it's just your fear, your imagination running wild. But it's not. The house is alive, and it's reaching for you. It starts slowly at first, little things you can explain away. A light that flickers for just a moment too long. A door you could have sworn was closed, but now it's wide open. A cold breeze brushing against your skin when there's no wind. But then, it picks up speed. The lights go out completely, and the shadows grow longer, darker. And the whispers, they grow louder. You'll hear them in the corners, in the hallways, in your own mind that they'll call your name. They'll beg you to come closer. And when you do, when you finally listen, that's when it takes you. I didn't listen at first. I fought. I tried to get out. But every room I went into just led to another one, twisting, turning in ways that didn't make sense. I started to lose track of everything. Who I was, what I was. Time didn't exist anymore. There was only the house, and its hunger, and then it found me. Found us. Those who had come before me. The ones who were lost to it. They reached out, their arms long and twisted, like shadows stretching in the dark. I couldn't see their faces anymore, but I could feel them, pulling me in, pulling me closer. And that was the moment I understood. The house doesn't just claim your body. It doesn't just lock you in its walls. It absorbs you. It takes your soul, your essence, and it turns you into one of them. One of the whispers in the shadows, one of the figures in the dark. And once you become a part of it, Once you fall into the house's hunger, there is no going back. You will wander these halls forever, empty, hollow, just like the others. Waiting, watching, calling for help that will never come. You can feel it now, can't you? The way the walls are closing in. The way the air feels thick, suffocating, pressing against you. You might think you're still in control, still have time to run, but the house already has you. You've been part of it for longer than you think, but it's already inside you. The whispers are getting louder. The shadows are creeping closer. And when you turn, when you look into the corner of your room, or the mirror, or the darkness just beyond the door, you'll see them, the others, the ones who are already part of it, the ones who tried to escape, just like you. And when you see them, when they turn their hollow eyes toward you, when they call your name, you'll know that it's too late. You think you can escape. You think you can run. But the house is already with you. It's inside you now, and you're just waiting for it to take what's left. The shadows are closing in. The whispers are growing stronger. And soon, you'll be one of them that you'll be inside the house forever. Just like me. Just like all the others. It wasn't always like this. There was a time before the house started to twist its walls and pull at my soul, when I could remember my own name, my own face. I was someone. I had a life, a purpose. But that was before. Now, I'm just a ghost, a shadow caught between the cracks in the walls. Just like the others that I can hear them now. Every time the wind howls through the rotting beams. Every time the floorboards creak under my weight. Their whispers are sharp, biting, always in the back of my mind. They try to drown me out, try to remind me of who I was. But I don't remember anymore. Not really. The house takes everything from you. Every memory. Every piece of who you are. And when it's done, when there's nothing left but the hollow, empty shell of you, it leaves you wandering the halls, a part of it. Forever, I remember the first time I heard them speak to me. It was just a murmur, faint, like a breeze brushing through the curtains of a room you didn't know you were standing in. I thought it was just my mind playing tricks, exhaustion creeping in from the days of wandering aimlessly. But then it grew louder, clearer, come closer. I tried to ignore it, tried to keep walking, to keep searching for an escape, for something, anything, to prove this place wasn't as alive as it seemed. But the walls seemed to stretch farther, the hallways twisted back on themselves, and there was no end, no exit. IT wanted me to stay. Stay? Forever. And that's when I realized the house knew what I feared. It knew that the longer I wandered, the more I would forget, the more it would erase from me, until there was nothing left but a hollow, lifeless vessel, ready to be swallowed whole by the house. Have you noticed it yet? The way the shadows follow you, even when you turn around. The way the house seems to close in just a little tighter every time you breathe, every time you move. It's the house. It's not letting you go. And when it has you, really has you, you won't even remember what it was like to be anything else. The floors beneath my feet began to shift as if they were breathing. It wasn't a sound at first, just a vibration, like the air around me was thick with anticipation. And then, the walls, they moved. Just slightly at first, but enough to make me dizzy, to make me question what was real. The house was folding in on itself, warping, twisting, and I was part of it now. I was being pulled in. I could hear the others then. Their voices were a chorus, a cacophony of whispers that had once been human. They weren't alive anymore. They were just fragments, lost echoes of people who had come before me, people who thought they could escape, people who thought they could fight. And now, I was one of them. I could feel it, even then, the pull. The way the house was beginning to wrap around my very soul, pulling me closer to its dark, endless heart. I tried to fight it. I tried to remember who I was. But the harder I fought, the stronger the pull became. You are mine. It wasn't a question. It wasn't even a request. It was a statement of fact. The house had already consumed me. It had already claimed my soul. And there was no way back. Do you feel it now? The weight pressing down on your chest, the way the house seems to pulse around you. Alive with hunger, you're close. So close. The house is already stretching its tendrils inside your mind. And once they have you, once you're swallowed by its hunger, you will never be the same. It takes everything from you. I could feel it now. My body wasn't my own anymore. I was a part of the house, just another piece of it, another whisper in the walls. I had forgotten everything that made me who I was. All I could hear were the voices of the others, lost souls, just like me, but they weren't me anymore. They were just echoes, hollow, empty. And then, the worst part of all happened. The house spoke again, but this time, it wasn't just a whisper. It was a scream. Join me. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I couldn't even run. I was trapped in the heart of the house now, and there was nothing left to hold on to. Have you noticed the way the walls seem to shift when you're not looking? The way they bend and twist, just for a moment? They're closing in on you. You might not even realize it yet, but they are. The house is growing tighter around you, and soon it will have you. And when it does, when it finally takes everything from you, when it swallows you whole, you'll become a part of it. Just like me, just like the others. The last thing I remember before the darkness fully consumed me was a voice. It was low, guttural, and familiar. I couldn't place it, couldn't recognize it, but it was calling me. Come home. And that's when I knew there was no escape. There would never be an escape. Once the house has you, it doesn't let go. It twists you. It changes you. And when you can't remember who you were anymore, when you can't even remember your name, the house is satisfied. You've become part of it, just like the others. I'm still here. I'm still in the walls, in the shadows, in the corners you can't quite see. You might feel me. You might hear my whispers, but don't turn around. Don't look into the darkness behind you, because once you do, the house will have you too, and then you'll understand. You'll understand what I am, what we are, and you'll never, ever escape. When I finally gave in, when I let the house take me, I thought I would feel nothing. I thought the darkness would be a release, a relief from the endless, aching pressure that had been building inside me. But it wasn't. No, it wasn't that simple. It's never that simple. What happened next? Well, it's something I can't fully explain, not in any way that makes sense. It wasn't just that I stopped being me. That was the least of it. The house didn't just take my memories. It rewrote them. It changed me from the inside out until I was no longer anything I could recognize. I woke up, or I thought I woke up, in a place that wasn't a place at all. It was a room, yes, but it wasn't my room. There was no light, just the flickering shadows that stretched far beyond the corners of the walls. The air was suffocating, thick, as if the very atmosphere had become part of the house, alive, breathing with its own terrible rhythm. I could hear it. The whispers, the voices of the others, those who had come before me. They were calling to me, yes, but not in a way that felt real. Not in the way a person calls to another for help. These voices, these echoes of the lost, weren't begging. They weren't even speaking words. They were just waiting. Their hollow eyes, staring through the dark, burning with the same emptiness I had seen before, but this time, I saw something different, something new. It was me. Or, at least, it looked like me, standing at the far end of the room. My face, distorted, pale and twisted in a way that shouldn't have been possible. Eyes wide open, but hollow, vacant. A body that didn't move. A figure frozen in the dark, trapped just like the others. I was one of them. Do you see it yet? The way the darkness seems to ripple around you, the shadows that stretch like fingers towards your feet. The house doesn't just trap you in its walls. It consumes you, your very essence. Your soul. You've been marked. Just like I was. It's too late now. I tried to scream. I tried to fight. But no sound came out. I was a part of the silence now. A part of the emptiness. A part of the house's hunger. And that's when I understood. The house didn't just want my soul. It wanted me to become part of it. To be lost in its endless corridors and shadows. To wander in its hollowed halls for eternity. To forget. To become nothing but an echo. You felt it now, haven't you? The way your heart beats just a little faster every time the air shifts. The way the walls seem to whisper to you, beckoning you closer. You think you're in control. You think you can leave. But the house isn't just a place. The house is inside you. It has already marked you. Every time you look away, every time you turn your back on the darkness, it pulls you closer. It shifts. It changes. It wraps itself around you until the very fabric of who you are starts to unravel. Until your name is just another whisper in the hollow of the house. I couldn't escape. Not then. Not ever. I was already part of it, tangled in its walls, tangled in its hunger. And when I tried to move, when I tried to fight, the house fought back, more forcefully than I could ever imagine. It twisted the room around me, stretched the walls and floors until I felt like I was drowning in them. The voices, the whispers of the lost souls, they were inside me now, inside my head, gnawing at my thoughts. And that's when I saw it. The door. The one that had always been there, hidden in the farthest corner of the room. It was wide open, and through it, I saw nothing but the same black void. The same empty nothingness that had haunted me for so long. The house wanted me to go through it. It was calling me. Come home. And I knew. I knew then that there was no escape. No way out. The house didn't just want to trap me inside its walls. It wanted to drag me into itself, into the void that had swallowed everything else. It wanted me to become nothing. To join the others. It's happening to you now, isn't it? The way the floor beneath your feet seems to shift, the way the walls seem to press against you, the way your breath feels a little too shallow. You think you're safe. You think you can leave, but you're already here. You've always been here. You can't see it, not yet, but the house is already wrapping around you. You're a part of it now. You always were. And as the darkness tightens its grip, as the walls close in, you'll understand. This isn't just about being trapped in a house. This is about being consumed, rewritten, remade, until there's nothing left of you. And when you see the others, when you hear the voices that call to you from the shadows, you'll know what I mean. It happened to me. It's happening to you. And when you try to scream, when you try to run, you'll find that the house doesn't need to chase you. It doesn't need to grab you. You're already part of it. You've always been part of it. The darkness wasn't just a void. It wasn't just empty air. No, it had weight. It was pressing on me, squeezing me, until I couldn't breathe, until I couldn't even think. My body had become a hollow shell, every movement slow, every thought a distant echo. But the worst part? The worst part was realizing that the echoes of my past, everything I was, were already fading. The house had taken it all. My memories, my name, my identity. There was nothing left but the whispers, and I could feel them growing. They were getting louder now. The voices of the lost souls, the ones who had been here before me, calling to me from the blackness, their eyes empty but burning with something terrible. They were hungry, just like the house. Hungry for the same thing I had been trying to escape. And when I tried to scream, nothing came out. I was already gone. But the house wasn't finished with me. Not yet. Can you feel it, too? That tug at the back of your mind? That cold, creeping presence that slips under your skin, making every part of you feel wrong? You think it's just the dark corners, the unsettling shadows, the strange sounds that shouldn't be there. It's not. It's the house. It's waiting for you, watching, and it's already inside you. The whispers, the voices, you hear them now, don't you? They're calling to you. They're trying to reach you, to pull you into the dark with them. You think you can fight it. You think you can ignore it, but you can't. The house knows everything about you. Every secret, every fear, every weakness. It's been inside your head from the moment you stepped into it, and now there's nowhere to run. I felt the floor beneath me shift again. It was like the very ground was alive, like it was breathing, shifting, wrapping itself around me. I tried to move, tried to escape, but I was frozen. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. The walls closed in on me, folding like paper, and I realized I was no longer in a room. I was in the heart of the house now. And the heart of the house? It wasn't a room. It wasn't even a place. It was a living thing. The very air around me grew heavy. It was thick, like I was wading through something solid. And the whispers, they had turned into voices. Clearer now, more distinct. And they were all speaking my name. But it wasn't my name anymore. It was different. It didn't sound right. It sounded like something twisted, something wrong. You belong to us now. It's too late for you. Do you understand that now? The house has you. It doesn't need to chase you anymore. You're already caught. The thing about a house like this, it doesn't need to hunt you down. It doesn't need to force you into submission. No, the house waits. It waits for you to unravel. It waits for you to lose yourself. And when you're lost enough, when you've forgotten what it was like to be free, that's when it claims you. That's when you become part of it. I saw them then. The others, the ones who had come before me. They were standing in the shadows, their forms twisted and broken, just like me. Their eyes were hollow, but they still remembered. Just enough to make the suffering worse. I couldn't understand them, not at first. The way they moved, the way they hovered, half-formed and barely there, like the air around them had taken shape. Their faces were familiar, distorted echoes of the person I had been. But they weren't human anymore. None of us were. Have you noticed it yet? The feeling in your chest, the tightening of your breath, the cold creeping through the room? The house is playing with you now. It knows you can feel it. It knows you can feel its pull. You might try to close your eyes. You might try to ignore it. But the darkness is too deep. The walls are too tight. And the whispers? They'll get louder and louder until they consume you. It was when I looked at them, the ones who had come before, that I understood. This wasn't just a place. This wasn't just some haunted house. No, the house was alive. It grew. It fed on us, on our fear, on our hopelessness. It took what we were, what we had been, and it twisted us into something else. Something that existed in between the cracks of reality. The walls were made of something darker, something older than I had ever imagined. The house didn't just contain us. It absorbed us. Each soul it claimed became part of the house. And when you were claimed, when you were fully inside, you would never leave. I could hear them still, the others, the ones who had been taken long before me. Their eyes followed me, those hollow, soulless eyes. They knew. They knew what was coming. They knew what I would become. The house doesn't let you leave. Not now. Not ever. You think you're still yourself, don't you? You think you're safe, that you're just a visitor. But the truth is, the house doesn't need you to stay. It just needs you to forget, to lose yourself. And then, when you've forgotten who you were, when the last trace of your humanity is gone, you become part of it. You become another whisper in the dark, another shadow, another broken soul wandering forever in its twisted halls. The others came closer, their twisted forms moving in and out of the shadows. Their eyes, they were waiting for me. They had been waiting for years, decades, and I realized then, in the cold heart of the house, that there was no escape. There was nothing left of me. The house had already stripped me down, hollowed me out, until all that remained was a flickering shadow of a person who had once been alive. The others reached for me then. Their cold hands, their icy touch, were pulling me into the darkness. And I didn't resist. I didn't even try to fight, because I knew. I knew that once I was swallowed, once I was lost to the house, I would never escape. And neither would you. Not when it's over. Not when the house has claimed you. You think you can leave. You think you can run. But the house will have you. It will take everything from you. And when it does, you'll forget. You'll forget who you were. You'll forget everything. And then, when the whispers call your name, you'll know. You'll know that the house has already taken you. And you'll never, ever escape. I could feel the darkness sinking into me, suffocating me with its weight, until I didn't know where the house ended and I began. The others, the ones who had been lost before me, were there, standing in the shadows, their hollow eyes watching me, waiting. They didn't speak, not in words, but I could feel their presence, feel their suffering. And in that moment, I realized the truth. The house didn't just take your body. It took your soul. When I had first entered, I had thought it was just a house, just a building like any other. But now I understood that it wasn't a place at all. The house was a thing. It was alive, a living entity that fed on fear, on despair, on those who wandered too close to its grasp. It had swallowed me whole. And I was already becoming a part of it. The air was thick with something otherworldly. It wasn't just the silence, though that was unsettling enough on its own. It was the way the house breathed. The floors shifted under my feet. The walls groaned like they were stretching, expanding, as if the house was growing, becoming something darker, something bigger. And I wasn't just a part of it. I was changing. There was no pain. Not physical pain, at least. But there was something worse. The slow, crawling sensation of losing yourself. Of becoming part of the very darkness that surrounded me. I could feel the whispers again. They were louder this time, pulling at me, pulling me deeper into the house's heart. The cold air stung my skin, but it wasn't the kind of cold that would freeze you. No, this was the kind of cold that freezes your soul. You feel it now? The way your thoughts feel clouded? It's not in your mind. It's the house, pushing against you, making you forget, making you lose who you are. You might think you're still fighting. You might think that if you close your eyes, if you take a deep breath, you'll wake up. But you won't. You can't. The house doesn't let go. It doesn't stop. It grows on your fears, on your doubts, until there's nothing left of you. I could hear them. The voices, louder now, overwhelming, each one a distinct echo of someone who had come before me. A broken soul, lost forever, wandering the endless halls. I reached out, trying to call for help, but my voice, my own voice, sounded strange. It was hollow, thin, like it had been stretched too far, like it wasn't even mine anymore. The others were close now. I could feel their presence, their cold touch, brushing against my skin. They didn't speak to me, not in the way you would expect. They didn't comfort me. They didn't console me. No, they simply watched. Can you hear it? The way the whispers seem to twist around you, the way they seem to know you. The house knows your deepest fears. It knows your regrets, your darkest memories. It uses them, manipulates them, to pull you deeper into the shadows. And when you're deep enough, when you've forgotten enough, When the weight of the house presses down on you so heavily that you can't even breathe anymore, then you will understand. The house doesn't just want to trap you. It wants to make you part of it. It wants to twist you, bend you, until your mind breaks and all that's left is a shadow. Just like the others, just like me. I stumbled through the hallways, if they could even be called hallways, the walls closing in behind me. The house seemed to be shifting with every step, the ground buckling beneath my feet like it was alive, shifting, changing in response to my every movement. And then I saw it. The door, the one that had always been there. The one that had always been just out of reach. The IT stood at the end of a long corridor, bathed in a faint, cold light that didn't seem to come from anywhere. It was an open door, beckoning me, but the closer I got, the further it seemed to pull away. The walls stretched, the floor warped, and the door remained just out of reach. But I had to reach it. I had to. The whispers grew louder as I got closer, and I could hear them all now, their voices indistinguishable, crying out, begging for something. They weren't pleading for their lives. No, they were pleading for escape, for release, for something, anything, that would stop this endless nightmare. But it was too late. The house had already consumed them. And now, it was consuming me. You're getting closer, aren't you? You can feel it, can't you? The pull, the way the air presses against your chest, the way the shadows seem to follow you, always just behind you, just to the side. You try to ignore it. You try to pretend it's nothing, just a trick of the mind, a figment of your imagination. But it's not. It's the house. And now it's got you. I reached the door. I don't know how. It felt like I was floating, moving through the house, but not really moving at all. My feet were heavy. My head was thick with fog. And then I stepped through. The world went black. The house isn't finished with you. It never stops. It doesn't let you go. You've heard the whispers now. You felt the pull. And you will keep feeling it over and over. Because once you've crossed that line, once you've come this far, there's no turning back. The house doesn't let you go. And when you're finally lost, when you're swallowed whole by the darkness, you'll become part of it. Just another whisper, another shadow, just another soul, wandering forever, lost in the halls of the house. And when the others call your name, when you hear them speak in their hollow, broken voices, you'll know that you've become one of them. I tried to move, but it was as if my body wasn't mine anymore. It didn't feel real, not like it had before. The air around me seemed thick, vibrating with something ancient, something hungry. I couldn't remember when it had started, but I didn't need to. The house had always been here. It was always here, waiting, watching, and now it had me. I stumbled forward, my legs unsteady, and yet I kept moving. I couldn't help it. There was a force, something, pushing me forward, pulling me deeper into the house. The walls stretched out in front of me, impossibly far, as if I was walking through a tunnel that was endlessly shifting, growing, and closing in all at once. The hallway bent and turned, but I couldn't stop. There was nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. The whispers started again. They were soft at first, just like before. But now, they were growing louder. They were voices. Real voices. At first, I thought I could make out some words. But no, it wasn't words. It was just sound. Just feelings. The emotions, the memories of the souls that had been lost before me. And I felt it deep in my chest. The rawness of their fear, their pain, their sorrow. The weight of it was crushing. It's getting harder to breathe, isn't it? The house isn't just trapping you anymore. It's changing you. Every breath you take, every heartbeat that echoes in your chest, the walls are pushing back, squeezing tighter, until you're no longer sure where you end and the darkness begins. The whispers are louder now, almost like a hum in your ears. You can feel them reaching for you. You can feel them around you. I could hear them now. I could hear them clearly. The others, they weren't just voices anymore. They were shapes in the darkness, moving figures, eyes glowing faintly in the shadows. And I realized I knew what they were. They were the lost ones, the souls of those who had wandered too far into the house, the ones who had given up, the ones who had become the house. They were me now. I could feel myself unraveling piece by piece, like a broken thread. My memories, my thoughts, slipping through my fingers as I walked further down the hall. The walls moved with me, folding and bending, stretching away into something unfamiliar. There was no escape. I looked around, but there was nowhere to go. The house was too big. It stretched out endlessly, each hallway merging with the next, every room feeding into another until it felt like the house was alive, its pulse thumping under the floorboards. I could hear it now, the heartbeat of the house. It was slow, rhythmic, like the thudding of some monstrous creature that lived beneath the earth. It was the sound of something waiting, something that was coming closer. You think you're still you, don't you? But the house has already begun to change you. The way your breath feels strained, as though the air is thinner now. The way the walls seem to press against your chest. The whispers, the voices, they're in your head. You try to ignore them. You try to push them away. But they keep coming back. Keep growing. The house knows you. It knows what you fear, what you crave. And now, it's feeding on it. I don't know how long I walked, but it felt like time didn't exist anymore. The hallway seemed endless, winding and twisting, as if the house itself was reshaping its own bones. There was a faint light ahead, and I thought, no, I knew. I had to reach it. I had to. But as I got closer, the light started to flicker. It was a weak, dim glow, like the last remnants of hope burning out. And just as I reached for it, the floor beneath me cracked, the ceiling caving in, and I fell into the blackness. Do you feel that? The floor shifting beneath your feet, the pressure building around you, the walls closing in. It's the house. It's hungry. It's always hungry. And it's coming for you. I landed in something soft, something wet. But as I tried to move, I realized I couldn't move. My body frozen, like I was being held down by something beyond my control. And then I heard it, the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps behind me. I couldn't turn around. I couldn't move. But I knew what it was. The others, the lost souls, the ones who had fallen before me, were coming. And they were bringing the house with them. Their hollow eyes were on me. I could hear their breath, soft and slow, like they were waiting for something, waiting for me to become one of them. And I realized then, the house doesn't just claim you when you give in. No, it transforms you. It breaks you down until you're nothing but a part of it. You think you've been walking through the hallways, trying to escape. But the truth is, you've never moved. The house has been with you the entire time, feeding on your fear, feeding on your confusion, until you've become part of it. Part of the endless, hollow dark that will never let you go. Can you feel it now? The way the walls are pressing in, the way the air is thick with something else. The whispers, they're not just voices anymore. They're the sound of the house, the sound of it growing, shifting, devouring everything in its path. You can't escape it. You can't escape it anymore. The house has taken you. It has twisted you, turned you into one of them. One of the lost souls. You thought you could resist. You thought you could fight. But the house doesn't need to chase you. It doesn't need to hunt you down. It already owns you. And when you look behind you, when you finally turn around, you'll see them. The others, the hollow eyes, the broken bodies, the twisted, warped souls. They'll be standing there, just behind you, their gaze fixed on you, waiting. They won't speak. They won't have to die. You'll know that you're one of them now. And when you step forward again, when the house pulls you further into its depths, you'll understand. You'll understand that the whispers were never just voices. They were the house itself. And you've already become part of it, forever. The darkness was so thick, so suffocating, it felt like it was made of more than just air. It felt like it was made of nothing. The kind of nothing that pulls at your soul, that makes you forget who you are, who you were supposed to be. I tried to scream, but the sound was swallowed by the vast emptiness that surrounded me. It wasn't the house that had done this. It was something else. Something worse. I could feel the others all around me now. They were everywhere, filling every inch of the blackness, and they weren't just standing there. They were moving. Their hollow eyes were upon me, their broken bodies shifting in ways that weren't quite natural, their hands twitching as though they still had some memory of life. I could hear them now, even though they didn't speak. It was like they were calling to me. I could feel the pull, like gravity itself was changing, drawing me in. I had to move. I had to get away, but I couldn't. My body wasn't mine anymore. It wasn't my own to command. The walls, they're watching you. Can you feel the eyes? The weight of them, that pull, that pressure. It's the house. But it's not just the house. It's something older, something darker. The house is nothing without it. I began walking, or at least, that's what I thought I was doing. The ground was uneven beneath me, shifting like quicksand, pulling at my feet. Every step seemed to stretch time, as though I wasn't moving forward at all. I could hear them again, the whispers, no, the voices growing louder. It wasn't just that they were speaking. It was as though they were inside me, crawling through my mind, like worms in the folds of my brain, gnawing at my thoughts, twisting them. They weren't asking for help. They were demanding it. One of them, was it me? Screamed in my mind. It wasn't a sound, not in the way we understand sound. It was just there, a loud, primal scream, and the pain that echoed through it was more than physical. It was soul deep. The others, the lost ones, they were calling me. They wanted me to join them, to become part of them, just as they had become part of the house. But I didn't want to. Can you feel it? That cold rush of dread crawling up your spine? It's the house, and it's trying to claim you. It's trying to break you down piece by piece, and you know it. You know it's only a matter of time before you give in. You think you're still resisting, but in reality, you're already slipping. The house has its hooks in you. It's feeding on your fear, on your confusion. It knows your weaknesses. It sees you. I stopped for a moment, breathing heavily. The air around me felt thick, as though it was pushing back against me. It was like I was walking through liquid now, struggling just to make any headway at all. The walls closed in around me again, the shadows pressing against my skin, crawling beneath my flesh, wrapping around my bones. It was impossible to breathe, impossible to think, but in the distance, I saw it. The door. It was faint at first, a sliver of light in the distance, like a star at the end of an endless night. I knew that if I reached it, if I could just get to it, somehow it would be an escape, but I didn't know if I could trust it. The house didn't allow escapes. It never did. You're feeling it too, aren't you? The door. That feeling of escape, that fleeting hope that maybe, just maybe, you can get out. It's always there, just out of reach, pulling you forward, tempting you, offering you something, anything to hold on to. But you've been here long enough to know the truth. There is no escape. I started running. My feet were heavy, my body was stiff, but I ran. The door loomed ahead, stretching further away with each step, mocking me, as if it had always known I could never reach it. But I kept going, pushing against the weight of the house, against the suffocating air that pressed on my chest, trying to pull me back. The whispers were louder now, deafening. It wasn't just voices anymore. It was a chorus, all of them speaking at once. But they didn't say words. No, they just felt. They felt like everything that had ever been lost, every soul that had ever been consumed by the house, crying out for something. Maybe they were crying for me, or maybe they were crying for themselves. The door was getting closer, or was it? I couldn't tell anymore. Everything seemed to shift around me. The walls bent inward, twisting into shapes that didn't make sense, and for a moment, I lost my bearings entirely. The floor beneath me gave way, and I fell again. Feel that? The sensation of falling? The way the ground slips out from under you, as though the very house is pulling you into its depths. It's the house. It always was. I landed hard, but I didn't feel the impact. My body hit the floor, but it was as though I wasn't even in control of it. My limbs felt like they weren't mine, like they were broken and twisted into something else, something alien. The pain was distant, like I wasn't even there to feel it. And then I heard it. A soft, almost pleasant sound. A click. The door. The door was finally opened. You've been here long enough to understand. The house doesn't want you to escape. It wants to consume you. It wants you to be one with it. Forever. I pulled myself to my feet, but I was too weak. My body felt as if it was no longer my own, just a shell. My fingers scraped against the floor, and as I looked up, the door beckoned me once more, but I couldn't go through. Not anymore. I had already crossed the point of no return. The house was pulling me back, and I was finally beginning to understand. There would be no escape. Not for me. Not for any of us. And when you finally step through that door, when the house swallows you whole, you'll be just like the others, forever trapped, forever lost. And in the end, when the darkness finally consumes you, you'll join the endless chorus. You'll be a part of the house, forever. And the whispers, they'll never stop, because the house has you, and it will never let go. I couldn't move anymore. It wasn't that I didn't want to. It was as if my body had simply stopped obeying me. The once familiar sensation of being me, of existing outside of this suffocating nightmare, was slipping further and further away. The walls were no longer just walls. They were faces. Faces I couldn't see but felt, etched in the very fibers of the house, in every creak and groan of the floorboards beneath me. The house had been built on something far darker than wood and stone. It was alive, and it wanted me to know it. It wanted me to be a part of it. You feel it? That sensation creeping down your spine? That nagging thought? The one that tells you it's too late? You're already part of it, aren't you? You're starting to understand. I fought to lift my hand, but it felt like it wasn't even mine anymore. As if the fingers that moved, the arm that rose, had once belonged to someone else, someone long gone. The more I tried to break free, the more the house pulled me back. Its pulse throbbed beneath my skin. The air thickened, as if I was breathing in pure blackness, and the very essence of the house was weaving itself into me, becoming part of me, until I could no longer tell where it began and where I ended. The whispers returned. They were no longer distant murmurs, but sharp, guttural voices, each one more demanding than the last. Come with us. You're ours now. Join us in the dark. Each one of them speaking, their voices overlapping, blurring into one single cacophony of misery and torment. I tried to scream, but my mouth wouldn't open. There was no sound, just the overwhelming pressure, the suffocating grip of the house. And then there was the shifting. At first, it was just subtle. I thought it was just the house shifting, its foundation creaking in the usual way, but then I felt it. The change. The floors beneath me, alive, the walls warping and bending, twisting as though the house itself was stretching, molding to accommodate me. To take me down, I stumbled back, trying to regain my footing, but the ground was undulating beneath me, the dark hallway narrowing, contracting in on itself, until I felt like I was in the center of some kind of vast, dark, pulsing heart. The shadows around me thickened, rising up from the corners like hungry tendrils, grasping at my legs, my arms, my throat. I couldn't breathe. You feel the pressure now, don't you? The way the house is pressing in, squeezing every bit of you until you're no longer sure you're even a person anymore. The whispers, they're louder now, closer. Their touch, cold, distant, and yet familiar. The air around me grew colder, and I shuddered, though I couldn't feel my skin anymore. It was as if my nerves had been stripped away, leaving only the raw emptiness of being, of existing within this place. The darkness seemed to press on my chest, squeezing my heart, suffocating me from the inside out. And then, in the thickest part of the shadow, I saw it. A figure, not just a shape, but a presence. A distorted, half-formed thing that stood at the far end of the hallway. It wasn't quite human, but it wasn't entirely monstrous either. Its shape was almost fluid, rippling with each heartbeat, as if it existed between the realms of the living and the dead. But I could feel it. I could feel its eyes on me, watching, hungry. You feel it, don't you? The presence, the pull, the suffocating awareness of being watched by something that is not alive. Not like you, not like the living. Something that exists only to consume. I took a step back, my feet dragging on the floor, the weight of the house pulling me forward with each sluggish movement. My limbs felt heavier now, as though the house was wearing me, wrapping around my bones, taking control of my very movements. And then I saw it. The door. It was there again. The same faint light, the same illusion of hope. But now I could see it for what it was. It wasn't an exit. It wasn't a way out. It was a trap. The house wanted me to reach it, to believe that freedom was just a few steps away, just out of reach. It wanted me to be so close, to be so lost in the hope of escape, that I wouldn't see it for what it truly was. The house was a cycle, a loop. You couldn't escape it, not by walking through a door, not by running. It kept you. Always. It consumed you, bit by bit, until there was nothing left but the hollow, empty echo of who you once were. And in that moment, I knew that I was no longer alive in the way I had once understood it. I had changed, become something else. The house had taken me, and now I was part of it. Forever. You feel it tightening now, don't you? The understanding creeping up on you like a shadow. The house is part of you now, just like it was part of them. You will be consumed. It's too late. I turned, the door behind me now a mere illusion, its light flickering like a dying flame. The walls moved around me, the house breathing, pulsing, changing. But it wasn't just the house. It was me too. I could feel myself sinking into it, becoming a part of the very fabric of the walls, the floor, the endless halls. The whispers swelled, loud and deafening, and then they stopped. Silence. I reached out, my hand trembling, and I felt it, the touch of the house, cold and smooth, pulling me in. And I realized the others weren't just trapped here with me. They had become the house. And now, you're part of it too, aren't you? The house doesn't care about the door. It doesn't care about your escape. It doesn't need to chase you. It's already taken you. You're just one more whisper, one more soul to become the house. Forever. And when you join the others, when you feel the walls take you, you'll understand. There was never any hope. The door creaked open, but it wasn't the sound I expected. It wasn't the noise of a door opening. It was the sound of something awakening, as if the very mechanism that allowed it to move was alive, creaking, groaning, shuddering as if it hadn't been disturbed in centuries. The moment the door opened, I was hit with a blast of air that wasn't just cold, it was wrong. It didn't feel like wind or breath or anything natural. It was something deeper, darker. Like the house was exhaling its soul, letting its ancient breath touch the air for the first time in ages. Do you feel that now? That icy breath creeping down your neck? The house is exhaling, and with every breath, it draws you closer. It doesn't need to chase you. You're already inside. I stepped through the doorway, expecting a hallway or another room, but instead, I was met with a vast, open space. Or was it? It didn't feel like space. It felt like nothing. Like I had stepped into the void itself, a place without walls or boundaries, where even light had no place. The air grew heavier, pressing down on me like a physical force, as if the very atmosphere were trying to crush me, suffocate me. But it wasn't just the air. It was the presence. It was everywhere. Around me, within me, inside my thoughts. It was the feeling that I wasn't alone, that I had never been alone, that I had been watched, that I had always been watched. Do you feel the eyes on you? Those unseen watchers? The house doesn't just watch, it feeds on your fear. And now, as you step further into it, your fear is its feast. The more you fear, the more it takes. I tried to move forward, but the air became thicker, harder to push through, like it was sticky, as though the very atmosphere had become tar. The darkness itself stretched and flexed around me, forming shapes in the periphery of my vision, things that weren't quite solid but still felt real. And then I heard it, soft at first, like a whisper, a voice, but not human. It was a sound that rumbled through the floor, through the walls, a deep, guttural growl. Not like an animal's growl, but something older, something ancient. The house wasn't just alive, it was aware. Feel it? That low, rumbling hum in the air? The house is listening. It's waiting, waiting for you to understand that you're already part of it. It doesn't need to make a sound. It doesn't need to chase you. You're already there. The voice didn't stop. It grew louder, but still, I couldn't understand the words. They weren't words at all. It was something more primal, more guttural. And with it came that feeling of being watched. The sense that the very walls were closing in on me, that the house itself was watching, waiting, as if it could feel my every thought, my every hesitation. I turned, desperate to escape. I needed to get out. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The air was alive with tension, vibrating, pulsing as if the house itself were preparing to consume me. But the door had vanished. Can you feel it? That sense of disorientation? The walls that aren't just physical, but mental? The house isn't letting you leave. You never could leave. You've always been trapped. I spun around, trying to find the door, the exit, anything. But all that met me were more walls, more shifting walls, moving as if the house had a mind of its own. There were no windows, no escape, only the suffocating weight of the air pressing in, filling my lungs with something that wasn't just cold, but dread. An overwhelming, bone-deep dread that made me want to collapse, to give in, to let the house consume me. And then I saw it. A figure, not just a figure, but a form, a shape in the darkness, towering over me, casting a long shadow that stretched far beyond its size. It was tall, unnaturally so, its form bending and shifting with every movement, as if it were made of the very darkness around me. Its face was nothing. There were no eyes, no mouth, just a shifting mass of shadows that flickered like static. It was the house. I knew that now. I could feel it in my bones, in the marrow of my soul. It wasn't just a house, it was a being. It had always been waiting for me, for someone to cross that threshold, to step into its grasp. You feel the presence now, don't you? The thing that isn't quite a thing. The thing that has been watching, waiting. The house doesn't just trap you, it feeds on you. Your fear, your pain, your hesitation. It's feeding on you right now, growing stronger, pulling you deeper. The figure moved towards me, slow and deliberate, the air around it warping with each step. It didn't make a sound, but I felt it. The very ground beneath me shook with its presence, like the earth itself was trembling. And then the whisper came again, not from the walls, not from the house, but from the figure itself. "You are mine." The words reverberated in my skull, deep and ancient, as if the house itself had spoken them. The world tilted, my vision blurred. The space around me seemed to twist and stretch as if the house were reshaping itself to fit its needs. To fit me, I tried to scream, but nothing came out. My mouth was dry, my tongue heavy in my mouth. The air was thick with the smell of rot, of something old and decaying. It wasn't just the house that had been waiting for me. It was the very essence of the house, the hunger. Can you feel it? The growing weight inside you? The pull, the pressure of the house folding you into itself? It's not just consuming you, it's becoming you. And when you can no longer resist, when you have no choice but to give in, you will be part of it. Part of the whispers, part of the walls. And when the house has fully consumed you, it will speak your name. And you will never escape. I was falling again, but this time I didn't want to stop. I was falling, but not the way you'd think. This wasn't a fall of gravity. No, it was more like the very fabric of reality was unraveling beneath me. It was as if the ground beneath me was no longer solid, no longer even real, just a fleeting mirage, fading, dissipating. I was plummeting into nothingness, into the very core of the house, into its heart, its soul. And in that moment, I felt it. I wasn't just falling into the house, I was becoming it. Can you feel it? The descent? That suffocating pressure pulling you down, down into the abyss? It's not the house that's falling, it's you. You've been falling all along, even before you stepped through that door. The house didn't trap you, it welcomed you. And now, you're a part of it. The walls around me bent and contorted, stretching, pulling like they were made of flesh, alive, squirming, reaching for me, trying to pull me deeper. And the house, it was breathing. I could hear it now, louder, sharper, like a deep, guttural growl rising from the pit of the earth. This sound was so overwhelming that it almost felt like it was inside my skull, vibrating my very bones, rattling my mind. I wanted to scream. I wanted to fight. But all that came out was a strangled gasp, a dry cough that scratched against my throat like sandpaper. The air was so thick now, so dense, that it felt like I was suffocating under its weight. But it was more than just physical suffocation. It was mental, spiritual, a crushing pressure that made every thought feel foreign, like they didn't even belong to me. You're feeling it now, aren't you? That loss of self, that pull that makes you feel as though you're slipping, disappearing into something else. That's the house. It's not just your body, it wants your soul. It wants to devour you, make you part of it, a shadow among its endless shadows. You can feel it. I couldn't fight it anymore. I felt the house pulling me into it, the darkness surrounding me, consuming me piece by piece. And then, something else, something more, a shift, a twist in my very perception, a crack in the air, like the house was splitting open, revealing something far darker beneath it. I wasn't in the house anymore. Or maybe I was. Or maybe the house was inside me now, but there was someone else here with me now. A presence. It wasn't the house. It wasn't the walls. It wasn't even the darkness. It was something more ancient, something older than the house, older than the ground itself. It's here. The thing that's been waiting. The thing that was always in the dark corners, in the places you couldn't see, the thing that even the house fears. Can you hear it? The breathing. It's not the house anymore. It was standing before me. Not a shape, but a feeling, an overwhelming presence that pressed in on me from every direction, as if it were everywhere, all at once. The room was no longer a room. It wasn't even a space. It was a void, a vast, empty expanse, and this being, was in every inch of it, surrounding me, suffocating me. I couldn't see it clearly. I couldn't look at it directly. It was like looking at something that shouldn't exist, something that was never meant to be seen. It warped the very air around it, twisting the light into dark shapes, making my mind reel. It didn't speak, not with words. It didn't need to, but I could feel it. Its presence, its power. The fear it instilled was so intense, so primal, that I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. And then, the voice. You feel it now, don't you? That force? The one that makes your skin crawl, the one that whispers in your mind? It's older than the house, older than time itself. And it wants you. It needs you. You have come, but you are already mine, the voice echoed, deep, ancient, shaking the very air. It wasn't coming from a body, it was coming from everything. The walls, the darkness, the very soul of the house. The thing that had waited for me. And that's when I realized I wasn't inside the house anymore. I was the house. You feel it now, don't you? That sinking feeling, the realization that there was never any escape. The house has always been inside you. The walls, the shadows, the hunger, it was never just the house. It was part of you, woven into your soul. And the longer you stay, the more of you it takes. The presence reached out to me, not physically, but through my mind, my thoughts. It didn't need to touch me. It was me. The house had fused with my soul, and now, whatever this thing was, this ancient, unknowable force, it was becoming one with me too. I was the house. The house was me, and we were both something else, something that could never escape, something that could never leave the darkness. Can you feel it? That final shift? That moment when everything becomes one? You'll never leave. Not now. Not ever. You're part of the house now. And when the house calls, you will answer. The ground beneath me quaked, and I was falling again, but this time, it wasn't into the unknown. I was falling deeper into myself, deeper into the house, into the thing that had always been waiting. And I knew, deep in my bones, that I had always been a part of it. And now, it was time for the world to know my name. Time for the house to rise.